All right,
Yeah.
hello everybody, and welcome to the second annual Data Holiday Book or Holiday Data Book Party, whatever we're going to call this thing. Praveen and I are very excited to host for the second time again, and we have some really amazing speakers with us that are waiting backstage. Ravit, how are you doing?
I am very well, super excited. And as you can see, I'm already in the holiday mode, and I'm sure most of the folks are in the holiday mode. So let's do it before they go and enjoy their holidays. Wanted to do this since a while, and this is like a ritual that we are following every year. So this is the second one, and I'm sure about the third one already. I have some plans for that.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, just so folks know what to expect today, we have some really great speakers. We have great prizes. I'll actually show you some of the books that you have a chance to win. Oh my goodness, here are some of the books you have a chance to win. So make sure you pay attention in terms of how you actually enter some of the raffles. In some cases, we'll have gifts for best questions asked. So definitely stay tuned for more information on that. We have a great lineup with us today, and before we sort of get into that, we do have a very special guest we want to start with, who has a brief message for us.
Hello, data friends. We are so glad that you have decided to join the second annual holiday data book party hosted by DATAcated and The Ravit Show. We hope that you have a wonderful time listening to the amazing speakers, and good luck with winning prizes.
Yes, Ravit, I know he's dressed similar to you. I'm not trying to steal your light. But anyways, we are here to have fun. And I see we've got several folks in here already saying hello. People still want my floating pillow. It's not really floating, guys. I really have to attach it, make sure it doesn't fall down. But I see several of our friends here. I see George, Dustin, Christine. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Ravit, who is our first guest?
Our first guest is our keynote speaker, Christina. Let's have Christina here. And a little about Christina, definitely. Her session title for today is How to Make Habits Stick. The book a week challenge, which is her, which she kind of makes everyone follow. So let's follow her hashtag book a week challenge. A little about Christina. She is an active data voice and host of the book a week challenge, and is currently based in New York City, where she works as an analytical lead for Waze. She has spent over more than 4 years in Google, holding various data specialist roles. She's also an adjunct professor at analytics at IE Business School. So today we'll be learning a lot from Christina about her book a week challenge, about making some great habits, about reading books. So let's hear it from Christina.
Yes, and I will bring her on in just a second. Just a very quick reminder that part of our giveaways include using hashtags. So I'm going to quickly share my screen for our very first giveaway, and this will announce winners right after Christina's keynote session here. You get a chance to win. Two people will get a chance to win free membership to the DATAcated Inner Circle at $300 value. So type in hashtag book party across any of the social media platforms that you've joined us on, either the YouTube channel, the LinkedIn, Twitter, or Twitch, and we will select two winners after the talk. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this from the screen here, and I will bring Christina. Hello, hello, Christina. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to say thank you so much to both of you, Kate and Ravit, for putting this event together, because you know that there's nothing I love more than books. So I'm honored to be kicking off the event today.
Yes, we couldn't think of anyone better than you to kick this off. I think you've read all the books, so this is your time to shine. And guys, definitely follow the hashtag Book a Week challenge. Ravit and I are going to hop off stage and let you take this away.
Perfect. Thank you. So welcome everyone again. I'm really excited to kick this off, and I'm also super excited to stay tuned for the rest of the event today. I've read quite a few of the books that we're going to be getting to walk through. I've actually got a lot of them right here. So I'll be staying tuned in later as well, but let's jump into my content. So Kate, you can go ahead and share my screen. Now, I've decided to focus today on how to make habits stick. And appropriately so, I'm going to connect this a lot to the Book a Week challenge. But you'll see that many of the tips and tricks that I'm going to go through They can be applied to all sorts of habits. So to set the stage for those who don't know me as well, as Ravit was explaining, I'm not a book author, but somebody's got to read all these books that we're going to be going through. That's why I'm here today speaking. I'm the host of the Book a Week Challenge on LinkedIn. And this is a personal initiative that I started a couple years ago. And it turned into this community effort. And the idea of it is that I share a weekly reading on LinkedIn. So I share my learnings and my summaries of books. And I encourage others as well to join this challenge and to help push them to read more and really to foster this continuous learning mindset. Now, I also work in the data world, as mentioned, for Ways at Google. So a lot of the content that I read is related to tech and data. Now, I also started the Book a Month Challenge earlier this year. And I recognize that not everyone's schedule is so forgiving, but I can guarantee you, I firmly believe that everyone can read at least one book a month. Now, I personally read only paperback books, but for others, it's much better to go with ebooks or audiobooks. Now, in reality, my reading, which seems like a huge feat, this conquering a book a week, it can sound like a lot, but in the end, it's just about setting these small daily habits. Now, small habits are underestimated. You have to realize that your life is the sum of your habits. So, how in shape you are, how much you've progressed in your career, your skills and your knowledge, it all comes from habits. Now, reading 30 pages per day is roughly 40 books a year. If you think about it, that's a significant chunk of the Book a Week Challenge now complete. Along the same lines, running 1 mile per day is 365 miles per year. Saving $10 per day is $3,650 per year. So every little bit matters. What are you waiting for? To make a habit stick, first of all, I would say formally set your habit and block regular time in your day for achieving it. So block time for when and how you're going to do this. For me, reading is something that I do to disconnect from the busyness of life and really to get off this excessive screen time. So I start and end every day with a book. Now, that's where I get the core of my reading in, but as well, I sneak a little bit more in at other times during the day or on the weekend. So I would say on average, I'm reading a little over an hour every day. And it may sound like a lot at first, but evaluate how you spend your free time in a day. Take a second to think about it and look through it because I can almost guarantee that you'll find room for optimization. This means less time scrolling on Facebook or watching reality TV. Now, my second tip is to choose wisely. So, do you. When it comes to forming habits, make sure you're doing something that you truly enjoy, not something that you're doing in order to improve a public perception of you or because someone told you to. Now, finding the joy in a healthy habit has twofold impact. So, you're having fun, but you're also doing something for the betterment of yourself. Now, when it comes to reading, after so many years of continuous reading for myself, I've gotten really good at understanding the types of books that I enjoy. Just because a book is on the New York Times bestseller list, it does not mean that you're going to enjoy it. So learn a little bit about yourself and make sure you're choosing wisely as you form these types of habits. Next is to track your progress. So quantify your habit and monitor your progress over time. I'm a data person, so numbers really speak to me, but they tend to speak to others as well. Why do you think all of these fitness apps, they work so well? Because most of them, they digitize, they datafy, and they visualize your progress over time, and they push you towards these stretch goals. Now, for reading, my go to is Goodreads. It allows you to track your reading over time and to set goals like the yearly challenge, and even to measure things like pages read or books read over time. The fourth tip, and I think this is a really important one, it's a very strong one that can help you commit for the long term. And that's to make sure you're making this a public commitment. So it's not just a personal thing, but share it with your network because you'll feel more committed, like there's more at stake. I think LinkedIn is one of the best platforms to do this. So even if your habit is not direct to your professional work, it helps show this human side of you. It can help get your community involved. They can help push you along. And then at the same time, in many cases, you can inspire others to pick up this same habit and join your challenge. So in my case, I had the book a week challenge, but you may also be familiar with Ken G and his 66 days of data. You have Albert Bellamy and his LinkedIn hard mode. And then, of course, we have our very own Kate and her DATAcated. These are all about forming habits. Now, my last tip is just to rotate and to keep your mind curious for more. Find ways to vary the form or the setting of your habit so it doesn't become monotonous. If your habit is running, for example, then switch up the different trails that you're running on. In my case, for books, it means changing up the genres that I'm reading. So depending on my mood for the week, I may read history, sci-fi, biographies, and so on. But I've always got this varying selection to choose from. As well, I kind of force myself to do this to change around because knowing me, I would just stick with sci-fi all the time if I really could choose. But I'm forcing myself to open my mind and be exposed to more, which in the end, it's showing me these new ways of thinking and new perspectives. So when you're trying to set a habit, reading or any others, number one, formally block time in your day. Number two, choose wisely. Do you. Number three, track your progress over time. Number four, make a public commitment. And number five, rotate and keep your mind curious for more. I may be biased as the book queen, but I think reading books is one of the best habits that you can pick up. Not just because I enjoy it, but there's a lot of health benefits as well. Now, to close up for today, I wanted to share with you one of my favorite reading quotes, and it says, "A reader lives 1,000 lives before he dies. The man who never reads lives only one." So I encourage you to join the Book a Week Challenge or the Book a Month Challenge and to join our community of readers. I love to see what others are reading, and it's great really to be there publicly and sharing a little bit about yourself. Now, I'm super excited to tune into the rest of the talks today. You know, I'm going to be right there in the chat, and I cannot wait to hear from the rest of the speakers. We can go ahead and open it if there are any questions.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Christina. Great talk. I absolutely love it. I'm very big on habits as well, and I love reading and running. So this talk was really perfect for me. I'm like, yes, Christina, running, yes, reading, absolutely. And I think replacing some of the, I guess, activities that are not as productive, like watching TV or scrolling through social media, unless it's LinkedIn, of course, other social media can be a waste of time. And I think reading is definitely a good way to get through some of those learnings that you're trying to get through. I'm also more of a paperback person, but I tend to listen to audiobooks as well. I know we had some questions in there about audiobooks. I think those can be effective. What are your thoughts on audiobooks?
Yeah, I think everyone has their own, you have to find what works for you and what suits you. I don't do audiobooks at all, actually, but I could see, for example, maybe someone who has a commute and they drive to work for 45 minutes every morning and come back. That's a great time to get an audiobook in. Me, on the other hand, pre-COVID, I used public transportation. So it was better for me. I like to have a physical book in my hands. But I think everyone has, what works for them, whether it's physical or ebook or audiobook, but they definitely all count. Yeah.
Wow, this is super cool. And Christina, I have a question for you. So, and I'm sure most of the folks who are attending, I enjoyed your session because I loved it. So this question is more around the lines where, how many books have you actually read till date?
I on my Goodreads account, but I started a few years ago, so I think it's like 253 or something around that. It has it on my Goodreads account. So
I might be somewhere around 10% of that, like 25 books.
You'll get there.
That's impressive. I want to take this question from the audience, from Amir. He's asking, do you tend to read one book at a time or 2 or 3 at a time? And also which genres, if it's more than one?
That's a good question. I used to only stick to one book at a time, but probably in like the last year, I realized that I was also really good about reading two very different types of books. So oftentimes I'll be reading a novel and I'll mix it with like a more a work type book. So tech and data. So I'll have two very different types of books and I'll change between them. And I find it very effective. But what I would do is be careful and not read two of the same type of genre at the same time. So I have two very different books and you can absolutely read multiple ones at the same time.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I've actually used to be similar where I couldn't read more than one book at a time. But now I could be between 4 or 5 books and they are sort of different. One is like a data book. The other one's a productivity book. The other one's community building. So it's sort of different enough where it's like watching 4 shows at the same time where you can keep track of all of them.
Exactly.
Cool. Awesome. Take last question here from the audience. George is asking if you prefer fiction or nonfiction.
Ooh, that's a really good question. I don't think I could pick one or the other, to be honest. Like, I love both of them. I'm a huge fan of just, novels and sci-fi. But then on the other hand, I love history and biography. So I definitely can't pick between them. And I'm very often switching between both.
Okay, that's fair. It's hard to choose, right? There's so many out there. If you do have time, Christina, questions are just flowing in for you. So if you want to go on LinkedIn and answer some of those directly, that would be awesome. I just want to be conscious of time since we have so many folks backstage, pounding at the door trying to get in here.
I'll be in the chat. So I'll see everyone in the chat and I'll answer a few questions there.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Christina, for the awesome talk.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, before we bring on our next guest, I do want to make sure we do our little giveaway here. So this is for the DATAcated Inner Circle. I'm going to go ahead and draw our first winner here. And we are going to do a little drum roll. Okay, the first winner is Magdalena. Congratulations. I'm just jotting your name down here. So we will follow up with you after the session. Thank you so much for participating. I'm actually going to draw again since I did promise that there will be 2 winners of this giveaway. Yay! All right, the second winner here is Doug. Congratulations. We will provide you with access to the DATAcated Inner Circle. And I'm going to go ahead and let Ravit take it away with introducing our next speaker.
Oh, yes. Actually, it doesn't need an introduction. If I say the name, people know him. It's none other than Scott Taylor, the data whisperer. And his session title for today is Telling Your Data Storytelling for Data Management. A little about Scott, though everyone knows him. Again, Scott Taylor, the data whisperer, has helped countless companies by enlightening business executives to the strategic value of master data and proper data management. As an avid business evangelist and original thinker, he continually shares his passion through industry events, public speaking opportunities, blogs, videos, white papers, podcasts, cartoons, puppets. Oh my God, it's endless, and all forms of thought leadership. He lives in Bridgeport City, where he often kayaks in Black Rock Harbor. So if you guys want to meet him, you can definitely go there. He'll be there. He'll be waving you and whispering some things around data. And he can also juggle pins and blow a square bubble. So without any further ado, obviously, Kate, are we giving away anything for?
Yes. Before we bring on Scott, I do want to announce he is kind enough to give away his Telling Your Data Storybook today. Wow. So in order to play this game, you got to do a new hashtag here. Hashtag Data Whisperer, and I will, I'll let Scott talk to you about his book, but I can let you know that it is 99% buzzword free, so I'll start with that. I know Scott's going to tell you this anyways. I'm going to go ahead and remove the screen here, and I'm going to swap that out with our speaker. Hello.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Kate, you're all lit up.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
You're putting the lights on the truth here. I love this.
Lights on the truth. We're combining all the brands together here. Yes, 99% buzzword free, as Kate said. I did not want to overpromise. You want to keep expectations within bounds here. So,
all right, we'll let you take it away, Scott. I'm going to remove myself and Ravit, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay, all right. So they gave me a couple minutes here to just talk to you about storytelling. Scott Taylor, Data Whisperer, thanks for joining us today. Thrilled to be part of this holiday book party again. Talking about my type of data storytelling, which is data storytelling for data management. There are really two kinds of data stories out there. There's the kind for analytics that are quite popular. Lots of books. Brent's going to come on later and talk about some of that too. But it's about putting data in the business user's hands to drive a business action, business intelligence, analytics, data science, super important. But there's another kind of data storytelling out there that I try to be the expert on, which is data storytelling for data management, stories about making your data. So there's stories about making your data. There's stories about using your data. Two kinds of data storytelling out there. I do one, lots of other people do another. But the point is, you need them both. And the bigger point is, you need to be able to tell a story, whether it's about data or for data or making data or to your kids or to your family. Being able to craft a story and a narrative that will be engaging and people will listen to is a soft skill that goes back to the cave person days. That's the way we communicated. So what I wanted to tell you actually in my minutes I have here is a story I have in the book about telling a story and hearing from a great storyteller about what he does to tell stories. So it's a story about a story about a story about a storyteller, which if I didn't lose count, that makes it a meta story. Just to start with the end, so I don't keep you too much in suspense. This was about a conversation I had with Francis Ford Coppola. Yes, the Francis Ford Coppola, the Francis Ford Coppola of Godfather fame. He's an icon, certainly in my family. It's steeped in all this historical lore. My family kind of looks at The Godfather and that group of films almost like a religious text. We quote them all the time. We kind of are steeped in their whole mental attitude toward family, toward business, toward all those great things. We all quote The Godfather all the time. Actually, I had a boss once who didn't see The Godfather, and I never felt the same about him again. So how did I meet Francis Ford Coppola? I'm at the Gartner conference. So I actually get to talk to him at a data conference. So it kind of combines two things I love, movies and data and going to conferences. I guess that's three things. But anyway, I'm at the Gartner conference. And years ago, they used to separate the Gartner conferences. So this year it's the Data and Analytics Conference. But way back when it was the MDM conference, Master Data Management, and then the Business Intelligence, Business Analytics Conference. So they were separate, right? So it was data management, business intelligence, kind of both kinds of storytelling, if you will. Now we're in this big, beautiful hotel. Of course, the MDM show is in the basement. This is all true, and it's actually all in my book. It's in the basement. It's on the lower level. It's kind of small. It's a little bit darker. You know, we're all kind of milling around down there. And then the business intelligence show is up in the grand ballroom on the second floor. Now, we were separated. You couldn't really commingle the shows, but we had the same kind of badge. And so when lunch comes up, I see on our agenda for the MDM show that we've got somebody from, I don't know, an automotive company or a bank talking about MDM and that sort of thing. And then upstairs in the grand ballroom for the business intelligence audience, they have Francis Ford Coppola. I'm like, there's no way I'm not going to this. So our badges look kind of the same. I'm a guy who can, walk in with confidence. I go up to the grand ballroom. I get beeped in, walk right by the guard there. Not that they're not going to let me in. I meander my way up and I get into the 10th row. So there he is, my icon, Francis Ford Coppola on stage. These Gartner analysts come in and they ask him questions and he just tells story after story after story. Working with Marleen Brando, all this other kind of great stuff. At the end of it, they're going to ask questions. So I'm ready with my question. And the first question is like in the first row, the Gartner analyst gets up and says, we have a first question. That person asks a question. The second question comes from right around that same area. The third question comes from that same area. I'm like, the fix is in here. They're not going to open this up to questions. So in the third question, I catch Coppola's eye and he kind of nods at me because I'm only 10 rows away. So now me and him are the only people in this room of 2,000 folks who know I'm next. He finishes the third question. He points to me and he goes, "What's your question?" I stand up, and believe me, all the Gartner analysts in the front row are like glaring at me. Like, how did you like break our sequence here? I was about to look around to all these folks in business intelligence and go, you know what? You're nothing without the people downstairs in master data management, but I didn't want to blow my cool. So I look up and I say to Coppola, I give him all kinds of compliments, talk to him about what he's meant to my family, tell him he's one of the greatest storytellers ever. And I ask him, how do you know a great story when you find it? The answer to that question is in my book. You can get my book, Data Storytelling for Data Management. I've got the whole thing transcribed in there. Actually, I have, where am I? Actually, I have, when I knew that I was going to be the next question, I hit record on my phone. So this was in 2015, I think, 2014. So I'm writing my book, and I got to find this little teeny tiny disc from like 3 phones ago where I know I have the whole thing recorded. I transcribed the whole thing. And so I have that dialogue between me and him in the book. And it was a thrill to listen to. I actually re-listened to it this morning, hearing him and I kind of talk back and forth in front of these thousands of people. But the essence of what he told me, not to leave you in too much suspense, but he says it better than I do, is you just know. It just starts to live with you. You sit and you just have this sense of an instinct that goes, this is a story that's going to grab people's attention. Now, was I looking for some big magic wand kind of answer? Sure. Did you think it's some sort of trick app, looking for all those kinds of tips? It wasn't there. Was I disappointed? Not really, because that's how stories are. This is the softest of softest of softest skills out there. And many of you in the data space look for kind of very strict cause and effect. Let's write this code. Let's do these programs. I say this and this will happen. Stories aren't like that. Stories have to grow on you. They have to feel right. They have to sound right. And you have to feel right and good about telling them. So the overall point of this, and again, I go pretty deep into it in my book, is trust your instincts, listen, and see whether you really feel right about it. If you don't feel right about it, your audience isn't going to buy it. So it's a real point around developing that sort of soft skill instinct. And sometimes things don't work. I mean, not all of Coppola's films are, runaway hits. Some of them were flops. Some of them are absolutely the greatest films of all time. But even the best storytellers out there sometimes don't hit the mark. So when you look at all this whole data storytelling world, and I know a lot of you are, know that every story isn't going to work the first time. Go through drafts, rehearse it, talk to people, see if this sounds right, mull it over in your mind, look at a way to change the words, to change the framing. It's a soft skill, gang, and the only way to really, really, really get good at it is to practice, practice, practice. So there's my little story about a story about a story. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Take a look more in my book, Data Storytelling for Data Management, and see how I weaved in Francis Ford Coppola into a data book.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Ravit, you're on mute.
Oh,
There you
Scott,
go.
this was amazing.
Yes, thank you so much,
Hey,
Scott. We've got questions for you. We've got giveaways that we're about to go forward with. Just a reminder for folks, this is what we're giving away, and I'll just share my screen briefly here. Data Whisperer, hashtag Data Whisperer is what you need to put in there. Before we do the giveaway, I'm gonna ask you our first question from Amir. And he's asking, why is it important to weave stories around data management? Why should we keep it separate from the analytics or business storytelling?
Excellent question, because data management needs to get funded in a way that business intelligence gets funded. Data management is kind of ignored or doesn't get the same kind of focus and spotlight, and certainly isn't sexy and glittery like a lot of stuff going on in analytics. And there's this defined practice in data, in analytics, data storytelling. So my thesis is for companies to really support data management at a strategic level, we need to create a narrative. It might be separate, but it's definitely connected, but a narrative about making data, about why stewarding, governing, managing foundational data in your organization is so critical to literally everything else you do in technology. It's kind of an unsung expertise at a lot of organizations. And so I'm trying to help elevate that message and show, again, there's these two stories. They're connected, but Storytelling about data management is where data starts.
Mhm.
Storytelling about business intelligence is where data ends up. And there's that journey we've got to all articulate in some sort of narrative. But good question.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a question here from George Firikin. You might know him.
Was he shorter in person?
You might have heard of him before. Was Coppola shorter in person?
I'd never really seen it. He was sitting down, so I don't know. It was kind of up there, but he seemed, everybody on stage looks huge. So I didn't get to meet him afterwards, but so I don't really know. I was so starstruck, and I was also so thrilled with my own gumption to like catch his eye. Yeah. And believe me, I can still see those couple of Gartner analysts just like peering at me, like, "Who are you to interrupt our little?" Our little scheme here to let all our big clients ask him a question. That part was equally thrilling.
Yes, I'm sure. All right, let's take another question here from Mr. Mike Nash. Thanks for joining us, Mike. He says, great chat. For a good story to land, do you need to research your audience?
Without question, Mike, you got to know who you're talking to. Are you talking to a group that really is, more data oriented? Are you talking to a bunch of business leaders who don't know anything about data? Are you talking to students who are new? Are you talking to experts who you might feel slightly intimidated about? Sometimes I do. I'm talking to all these folks who kind of know a whole lot more than I do. So knowing your audience or having some sense of your audience is absolutely critical to understand how that story might land. You'll never know everything, and there's always surprises, but having a sense of it is really important. And I do a lot of public speaking, as you guys know, a lot of events, and I always have some time with the producers to talk about, okay, who's going to be out there? What kind of categories do they represent? What's the nature of the businesses? Give me anything out there so I know something about the group that's going to be listening to me.
That makes sense. I think for any type of story and any type of audience, at least some research is always necessary, so you know who you're talking to. I still remember I had a moment, this is pre-COVID, when I had to present to my daughter's pre-K class, which is not even pre-K, it was a 3-year-old program on data visualization, and then giving a talk at ODSC to data professionals with thousands of people in the crowd. And you prepare differently for each audience, but you prepare and research nevertheless, because you don't want to get booed by any of those.
Booed by a bunch of preschoolers could really.
And that's more likely actually than the latter. So, all right, let's get into the giveaway. Ravit, we're good to do the giveaway? Yes?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. So we got 3 lucky winners that we're going to announce right now. And if you're winning this telling your data story book, all you have to do is contact Scott Taylor, the Data Whisperer, to find out how you get a copy of this book. All right, congratulations.
Congrats.
All right. Send me your email in a DM. All I need your email in a DM. Hooray.
Yep, there you go. So if you're not following Scott already, make sure you follow him, connect with him. All right, that was number 1. We're going to go with number 2 now. Scott, we need you to do the drum roll. That's actually really good.
No drum here. All right.
Okay, lucky winner number 2, Venkata.
Venkata, congratulations.
Congratulations. And for the final winner, let's let the confetti settle. All right, I love doing this raffle. I think it's so much fun. Okay, for our final winner, we have,
let's see,
Kirsten Wolf. Congratulations.
All right. Way to go, Kirsten. And for those of you who didn't win, I just posted a 20% discount for the book at technicspubs.com. My code Data Whisperer. Hopefully you'll enjoy that as well.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, Scott, thank you so much again. I'm sure we'll speak at least 5 more times before this year is over.
Absolutely. Thank you both. What a fun party. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Scott. Right. So, Ravit, how are you feeling? We're about 30 minutes into the party so far, about 90 minutes left to go.
And there's so many authors to come. There's so much more fun waiting for everyone in here. And definitely our next speaker will play with our minds. So can't wait to introduce him. I won't take his name. I will let the audience, obviously guess who he is. I can tell that he's a poker player and give more about his intro as well, about his title. But I won't take his name until I see some names coming in the chat.
Okay,
If-
guys, guess who our next speaker is based on what Ravit tells you. Put it in the chat. Let's see this.
Yes. Okay, so he's a former professional poker player. You can find him wherever psychology and data meet. His academic background is in behavioral science, but after he built a consulting career in data and analytics, combining both worlds. I was just about to take the name. There was a clue in the chat. Okay, that's nice by Christina. So, okay, he also founded a company named MindSpeaking, the human side of data. His training programs help data professionals understand the business and get buy-in from stakeholders and tell stories with data. Last year, he published the best-selling book, People Skills for Analytical Thinkers. Do we have the name? Oh, yes.
Oh,
It
yes,
is?
we have
Yes.
several people guessing. Yes, there we go. We have plenty of people guessing. Gilbert. Yeah, those are just coming in. People know. Here's the book. I'm going to go ahead and bring Gilbert up on stage. But before I do that, I'll just let you know Gilbert is also kindly giving away 3 copies of his book, but we're doing things a little bit differently. We're not going to do a raffle style for this book. We are going after 3 best questions asked, which Gilbert is going to choose those questions himself after the show, and he will follow up with the winners after. So get your questions ready for Gilbert. Could be on any topic related to people skills, analytical thinkers. I will let you know the title of his talk is A Data Lesson from the Story of the Walnut. So I literally can't wait to hear this. Let's bring Gilbert up on our stage. Hello, Gilbert.
Hello, everyone. Awesome
Hey,
to be
Gilbert.
here. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Ravit and I will give you the stage, and we'll see you in a couple minutes with questions.
Good luck,
Sounds
Gilbert.
good. Thank you. Yeah, as said, it's awesome to be here. Thank you very much for having me. Great to be among all these other authors. And I want to kick it off with a question, because the first question is going to be, what is your favorite thing about Christmas? And please type in the chat your answer. So what is your favorite thing about Christmas? And of course, I can tell for myself, for me, it's a Christmas dinner. I love people. I love the conversations during the dinner. But what I also like is the food. So today, I'm actually going to talk about food. So let me explain. You may have heard the phrase, data is the new gold. Have you heard it? Well, I disagree. At least I think we're not there yet. Because many projects do not lead to business outcomes. And you may have found that you analyzed the data, you found some insights, but the business did not use those insights. Or they did not use the dashboard that you built so eagerly. And I think it's a shame. But it also means that data is not gold yet. But then the question is, what is it if it's not gold? And maybe if you listened carefully to the introduction, you may be able to guess it. And the answer is data are like walnuts. And of course, I brought a few here so you can see them and hear them. And just like data, walnuts have a lot of potential benefits. Eating walnuts helps you to improve heart function, your mood, your skin, and even sleep. And actually, I ate them during the preparation of this presentation, so maybe they boost creativity as well. So clearly, walnuts have a lot of potential. But to get to those benefits, just like in data, you need to know how to open them. So how do you do that? I can tell you, it's not with this guy. It's not with this big machine. And not even this one. So then the question is, how do you crack the data nut? How do you crack the walnut? The answer is, we should not focus on the newest technology and all these complicated machines, a complicated solution. You know, there are a lot of people who love that, who love the complicated solutions and who love the complexity. And to be honest, I do too. So I saw this on the internet. It's a pretty funny picture if you ask me. So I think not just data scientists are too focused on the technical and the complicated side, to make it abstract, to make it complex, even though many of us have an academic background. But I think it's a mistake in business, and because in business, practical business impact is the only thing that counts. So what you need to open a walnut is a simple nutcracker. Because in many cases, a simple solution is good. An Excel table might do the job, or a simple dashboard in Tableau is the perfect solution. But before you start cracking all these walnuts, these thousands of walnuts, you also need to know what type of walnuts people love, what type of walnuts people like. Because for me, I thought there was only one type of walnut in the world. But I did some research and it's not true. In fact, there are 20 different types of walnuts in the world. So it's really about understanding what type of walnuts people like. And realize that also that it's not about the walnuts, right? It's about helping people cook a healthy meal, cook a tasty meal. So you need to understand their taste and also the taste of the people that are coming along for the Christmas dinner. Because that's how you help them cook the best meal of their life. And if it's the same for data. It's not about the data, because data on itself doesn't do anything. It's about helping people make better decisions. And therefore, you need to understand the taste of the people in the business, the people you talk to, your stakeholders, and even the taste of the people that might be more senior, that you don't talk to as frequently. You also need to understand their taste, because they have a lot of influence on the whole process and that determines whether your insights are being used in the end. And to understand the taste is better of our stakeholders, the people we work with, we're going to learn a lot from design thinking. And of course, I have a picture about that as well. So here you see 3 bubbles: feasible, viable, and desirable. So feasible is about just trying to find opportunities in data, building data models without understanding the business need. And then we have viable. That's all about the question: does it serve a business purpose? Does it generate a profit? Does it decrease risk or costs? That's what this is about. So you can ask them, why do you need it? And what's the business purpose? What's the business question that you're trying to answer? And then on the top, desirable is all about people. And that one shows what is important to people. So you can ask people, what does success look like to you? And who else is involved? What are these other stakeholders that also have a certain taste? So also when you understand what's desirable, you can also understand, okay, what are the algorithms of people? What are the algorithms of the people involved, the stakeholders? I talk a lot about that in my book, because algorithms are basically behavioral patterns and the other way around. And by understanding other people's algorithms, you communicate better. And in the end, you also make a bigger impact with your data. So to conclude, simple solutions are good. And business impact is the only thing that really matters in business. So ask good questions. And do not only look at what is feasible, what is technically feasible and possible, but also look at what's viable, what's generating a business, what's generating a business profit, or decreasing costs, decreasing risks, what serves a business purpose. And then what is desirable? What do people like? What are the tastes of people? What are the preferences? Because that's what you need to know in order for you to crack this data nut. Thank you.
Wow, I love it. It would be interesting if the nut didn't actually crack. Have you practiced this? This is awesome.
Yeah, I did not. So I did not have a plan B there.
That is a lot of pressure, man. You're live with thousands of people here. So I love it. Thank you so much for the story. That was really great. quick reminder for folks that best question asked picked by Gilbert will get some books, and we do have some questions that I will take from the audience for a couple of minutes. I wanted to start with the question here. What is more important in data storytelling, explanatory or exploratory data analysis?
Tough question. I think for exploratory data storytelling has its purpose, but it's mainly effective, I think, for explanatory, where you found some insights or you found some ideas and possible ideas that will serve a business purpose. So I think in that way it's more effective and more impactful, especially because you talk to that's the area where you usually talk to stakeholders that are less technical, that are less data savvy. And then a story will make it much more easier to comprehend and make it more persuasive.
Thank you. We have a question here that's relevant to your prior career, I guess, as a poker player. So Jessica's asking, have you ever made a life-size scatter plot using poker chips? I mean, if not, you have to do this.
I have not, but you're giving me ideas here. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for the questions. Ravit, any questions before I go on to the next one?
I think there's one interesting question from Larissa there. She's asking, how do you grab your audience first, relating to the people in the group or a powerful punch of analytics to highlight the main point of the meeting? Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the audience. So for very busy audiences, for example, if you talk to the CEO or very senior people, they might only have 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You can use the pyramid principle, where you tell the key insight first and then the supporting arguments, the why.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a bit more time, I would suggest that you grab them with a hook, something that is not revealing everything right away, like I did. So I talked about food, right? And you had an idea about the walnut, but I did not give away everything. Like, it's kind of a build-up. And usually that's more effective to have more memorable insights that are also more persuasive. But if you don't have the time, then use the pyramid principle. You can look it up.
Got it. Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you. My goodness, so many questions coming in. Gilbert, I hope you're going to have some time to hop on LinkedIn and sort of answer some of those questions directly in the chat, because we simply are out of time for the session. But I really appreciate you hopping on here, being part of the Holiday Data Book Party, and also providing some awesome gifts.
Very nice session, Gilbert.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me, and enjoy the rest. I will stay on.
Okay,
Awesome.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Gilbert.
Thank you.
All right, Ravit, what do we have next on our agenda?
We have our very special author, Lillian Pearson, next. Her session title is Revenue Models for Data Startups, Data Monetization at Hyperspeed. A little about Lillian. Lillian is a data product leader that supports data professionals to evolve into world-class leaders and entrepreneurs. To date, she has trained over 1.3 million workers on the topic of AI and data science. Can't wait to hear her today. Feel free to have the questions coming in. Are we giving away books as well for this session, Kate?
Oh yeah, Lillian, of course, is kind enough to provide 2 copies of the book. Again, it's a similar structure to what we did with Gilbert. She will select the best questions asked. So go ahead and get your questions coming in on the topic of revenue models for data startups, or anything around data monetization. And I can't wait to hear Lillian's talk on how we're going to make this hyper speed. I'm always excited when I hear the word hyper anything, hyper speed, hyper anything. So, and I didn't even have my second coffee yet. I'm already overly energized. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Lillian on our stage here. Hello, welcome to the Holiday Data Book Party.
Long time no see.
I know, it's great to see you here. Very excited to have you on. I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'm going to hop off, and Ravit will hop off as well, and I'll get your slides up whenever you're ready.
All right. That sounds great. Oh, Merry Christmas, everyone. And I'm really, I am really grateful for the chance to come on and share with you just a little mini training on revenue models for data startups. Yeah, I guess Kate's already got everything on the stage and everything. I'm just making sure I've got the whole setup kind of figured out here. And yeah, Kate mentioned add hyperspeed. And so yeah, I'll be addressing that portion at the end. But if you are ready to take your data skills or data resources and convert them, how can we make this bigger? Sorry, I was hoping to make, yeah, and convert them to new revenue streams almost overnight, then this training should be right up your alley, because I'm about to show you the top 4 revenue models for data startups and how to go about monetizing at hyperspeed. Let's see here. Okay, cool. So in case you haven't met or we haven't met yet, I'm Lillian Pearson, and I help data professionals transform to world-class data leaders and entrepreneurs. So over the past 2 years, I've supported data professionals just like you to take their data skills and apply them to generate new revenue streams that have generated over $3.4 million collectively. And that would be clients like Kim Lee, who has generated $370,000 in 18 months at a 67% profit margin outside of a 9-to-5 employment position. So we're going to talk about revenue models and the 4 best types of revenue models for data startups. And then I'll try and help you figure out which would be the fastest way for you to monetize given your current circumstance. In case you're not sure what exactly is a revenue model, it's really just the portion of the business model that describes how a company earns its money. Of course, I cover all of this in the 3rd edition of my book, Data Science for Dummies, but let's just look at them really quickly here. The first revenue model that works really well for data startups is unit sales. And essentially, this is just the direct sale of ownership of a product. So for an online business, the sale of merchandise or the sale of a license to use a digital product like a course or an ebook would be considered unit sales. So any of the books that you get, if you get them in ebook format, the transaction through which those data books were acquired would be a unit sale. Also, if you were to get merchandise like over on DATAcated community, any sort of sale that happens from a data business where it's actually a transfer of a good or transfer of a license to use an electronic good, those are unit sales. And the next type of revenue model that works really well is licensing. And so this is where you sell a license to someone in exchange for the right for them to use your intellectual property. So you're selling them the right to use something you created. And by implementing the licensing model, you sell your customer a license. You're selling them a license to use your intellectual property as if it was your own without attribution. So often these types of products go by the name of white label products. And so if you're using any sort of, you've probably seen a lot of them out there actually. There's a lot of analytics SaaS products that are available under white label, which means if you had a data, like an analytics agency, you could actually use their white label product in order to deliver dashboards or any of your services through as if the SaaS software was your own. And even something like a Google Data Studio dashboard could be sold as a white label, where the seller could include a right where you could basically change out the attribution and say you created the dashboard, even though you actually purchased it from them. So they give you the right label rights. There's also such things as PLR products, which are private license rights products, and then done for you content, which isn't that popular yet in the data space. Okay, the third model is subscriptions. And essentially, this is the right to access. This is where you sell the right to access your product, service, or community on a subscription and pay as you go basis. So this could even look like if you have a retainer package for your data services, you could sell that retainer package on a subscription basis. Communities like Kate's DATAcated Circle, where data professionals are making a home and gathering to discuss all types of data-related topics. Those type of communities, there's a small fee involved in joining a community like that. And so that would also be considered a subscription. And then also if you are using vendor services for AI SaaS or analytics SaaS products, those are oftentimes sold on subscription basis as well. And then the last type of revenue model that is popular for data startups would be fee for service. And this is simply where you sell your services according to a fixed price, like a lump sum or on an hourly basis. But I recommend not doing hourly basis if at all possible. Anyway, that's not part of this discussion. I do want to cover monetizing at hyperspeed, which I'm not talking at hyperspeed right now. Excuse me. It's almost midnight here. Monetizing at hyperspeed. So yeah. The speed, if you want to, like, the fastest way to monetize always is going to be services. So if you just need to make money right away and you have data skills and expertise, then you can always monetize via services. But to take a more strategic approach to figuring out how to monetize in your data startup, you really want to look at the resources you have in place. So if you have community, that's major. And so I just broke it down to, like, if you have community and you want to earn more money, then you would start looking at either unit sales, licensing, or subscriptions. On the other hand, you may have community and really just not have a lot of time. So you actually just want more time. Then you would probably go with unit sales or licensing, just because subscriptions can, depending on how they're set up, and the admin, the support you've built in your business, they can take a lot of time to support. So there's that. And then lastly, if you have time, but you need money and community, then you're looking at fee for services or subscription, where you're selling your service on a retainer basis. So the thing is that community, basically audience and relationships, are a huge part of what make the world go round, both in personal life and in business. So if you don't have those, then those would be like the first things you need to start working on after you get your money issue solved. So that is all I had for today's presentation. All of this is covered in greater detail in the book, for sure. It's 400 pages, and I hope you win. If anyone has any questions, email me at lillian@data-mania.com. And you can also find lots of free resources and training on YouTube if you just search Lillian Pearson. That was all I have.
Ravit, unmute again.
Thanks a lot, Lillian. This was definitely hyperspeed.
Awesome. Lillian, first of all, speaking live at midnight, I wouldn't even sign up to do this. I'm done by 4 p.m. my time. Usually I'm like, I can't even. This is impressive. So thank you so much for the dedication and commitment to being here with us today.
It's my way of giving back. It's the holidays, and I know there's a lot of people out there in the data community that are looking to, start consulting and stuff like that. So thank you for the opportunity to share my little mini training.
Absolutely, I loved it, and actually, I really love the slides. The pixelated style is really fun. So thank you so much. I hope you have a little bit left energy left for a few questions from the audience.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, good. Thanks. We have a question here that I really like from Shruti, and she's asking, what are the few mistakes which are often made during monetizing your revenue model?
I think the biggest thing is building your product before you have customers. I see a lot of people spend a long time, and it's an easy thing to do, building this huge product and never having sold it.
Yeah.
So that would be a big issue. And yeah, that would be a good one.
Okay, thanks for that. Gilbert's asking, what is your personal favorite business model?
I really like products, so unit sales. I'm not a subscriptions person. I'm not a services. I've productized all my services now, so definitely unit sales.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. I keep hearing folks moving from services to products. I even bought a book recently that it's called Productize Your Services or something, because I get it. You want to stop trading your time for money so you can get some of your time back and have freedom to spend time, doing things you like sitting at the beach or whatever.
Well, I have mentoring. I do one-on-one mentoring, but the thing is that having products allows me to scale my expertise, so help more people.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people that really are at the point where they're at the level in their business where we can go deeper, then I'll have space for them. But if I am doing too much for too many people, I don't have the opportunity to help the people that are ready to go to that next level. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that makes sense. And we'll just take one last question here from Come On. He's asking if I pick the wrong revenue model in the beginning, which a lot of times do when we're learning, right? When do you know when it's time to switch the model into something that provides more value to both yourself and your customer?
I think that's really personal. I mean, because yourself and your customers. So clearly, if you're getting either low conversion rates or basically people emailing back saying that your product didn't hit the mark for them, then that would be an immediate pain point.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have to look at the revenue metrics and seeing how, what's the ROI? So what are you spending on marketing or advertising? And then what are the sales looking like? That would be another issue. So how much profit are you making? And then lastly, it's coming down to you personally and how does it actually make you feel? Are you vested in the thing that you're selling? Do you actually care about it?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to spend your time doing something that maybe is profitable, but doesn't light you up.
Right, exactly. It's all about being lit up as we are here today for the holidays. Awesome. Well, Lillian, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us here today. Maybe at some point tomorrow, you can select the winners based on best questions asked and sort of get in touch with folks directly. We're going to keep this data party moving. So again, thank you so much.
Thanks, Lillian.
Okay. Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye. All right, Ravit, I know we have a speaker lined up, but we have a 2-minute intermission.
Yeah.
Not really an intermission. We have a very special guest surprising us here today with a giveaway that we weren't really expecting. He's going to take 2 minutes of our time, and he's backstage already. So I see him.
Let's do this.
When it gets dark in the world, this is the one who puts the lights on data, the Christmas lights.
Wow.
Here we go. Our special guest, George Sherikan. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, and yes, I do put the lights on data. That was Kate's idea, by the way. Thank you so much for having me. Just want to, have a way to give back to this amazing community, and want to thank you, Kate and Ravit, for putting this together every year. We are expecting it now every year, by the way. So I want to have a giveaway of one of my courses, mine and Dada Belt Santos courses, which is data visualization for data storytelling. So please use Lights on Data hashtag to enter this giveaway. And let me know in the comments, what do you prefer? Do you prefer to read like just a book or an ebook? I'm really curious to hear your answers. And I have a secret. Maybe I shouldn't even tell you this, but over the
No, tell
holidays,
us.
I'm acting as one of Santa's data elves. So obviously, he has a big data office there. He's working with a lot of big data. I mean, how else would he know if you've been good or bad, right?
Good data,
So-
bad data, yeah.
Exactly. So don't tell anybody else. But I'm doing my part. So please, please enter just to learn more about data visualization, data storytelling, how to create effective data stories. So that's it. I'm in and out. I'm working the data office, as I mentioned. So I need to
Yes,
go
that's
back.
what you're busy with, the elf work. I understand. So
Exactly.
we're actually gonna go ahead and run this while you're here, so we can select the one winner. And what's the course you're giving away?
Data visualization for data storytelling.
Okay, awesome. Yes, it's all about telling stories here
It's
today.
all about telling stories. Again, you're going to learn how to, tell compelling data stories with, of course, the use of effective data visualizations that will really just engage your audience, which is what we want to do.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, and George, whoever wins this is going to contact you directly. So find George Fairkin on LinkedIn, and I'm going to go ahead and click draw. Let's see who our lucky winner is for the course from Lights on Data.
38 entries. All the best.
All right. Congratulations, Elif.
Congratulations.
Please contact George Fairkin directly, and he will provide you with access for the course.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Happy
All right,
holidays.
George, good to see you. Get back to your work there. Okay, bye. All right, Ravit, who do we have next on our schedule?
Our next guest is, I'm a big fan of him. I've interviewed him on the Ravit show. I'm sure you've interviewed him on the DATAcated show as well. It's none other than Randy Bean. His session title for today is Why Data Matters Now More Than Ever. A little about Randy Bean. He's an industry thought leader, author, and speaker in the field of data-driven business leadership. He's known for his frequent columns in Forbes, Harvard Business Review, MIT Sloan Management Review, and the Wall Street Journal. His book, Fail Fast, Learn Faster, Lessons in Data-Driven Leadership is in an Age of Disruption, Big Data, and AI, was published on August 31st. Randy Bean is the founder and CEO of New Vantage Partners, a strategic advisory firm which he founded in 2001. And there's a good news. Definitely, I will let him share the good news about the New Vantage and what it is about. So let's welcome Randy.
All right, Randy, welcome to the show. There you are.
Yay.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Before we hop off, I'll just let folks know that you are also generously giving away a couple of copies of your book, and we're doing the similar style of best question ask. So get your questions in there, and Randy will select the winners after the show. Randy, we're gonna hop off and let you take this away.
Great. Thank you, Kate and Ravit. First of all, there's so many tough acts to follow. I can't beat the hats and the costumes. And I really enjoyed Scott Taylor's comments about storytelling and elevating the message. Ravit referred to some good news or updates, and that is that New Vantage Partners, company that I founded 20 years ago in 2001, was acquired yesterday by a company, Wavestone, which is based in Paris, France. It's a global consulting firm, does everything from data strategy to data governance to data management to data security. So a big CISO and information security practice, and delighted to be part of their global organization. So in terms of the book, Fail Fast, Learn Faster, I really wrote it for 4 audiences. The first audience is senior business leaders, CEOs, board members. And what I was trying to do was really make it simple. So as I describe it to people, sometimes I say I was writing for a 3rd grade audience, which they think is, they think I'm kidding, but I'm actually serious. I'm trying to make it so it's highly intelligible. I also wrote the book for practitioners. So there's roughly 25 case studies in the book from leading Fortune 1000 companies in terms of what they're doing and accomplishing and lessons learned. Third, I wrote it for students, executive students, as well as the next generation that's coming along, because what I tried to do in the book is impart my knowledge over the past decade so others could learn from those experiences and what I've seen and take a look into the future. And then finally, I wrote for general readers who are trying to understand what all the fuss is about relative to data, particularly over the past years. There's been much in the news about positivity rates and trying to understand the data, and that's impacted the average person. So I thought I would begin by reading from the beginning of the book just to set the tone. So the book begins as follows. The world is in a race to become data-driven, now more than ever. The warp speed effort to organize scientific and epidemiological data from across the globe in a heroic effort to find a COVID-19 vaccine has illustrated the urgency and existential nature of this quest. We need data, science, facts, knowledge, and insight to make informed, wise, and critical decisions. Now more than ever, data matters, and having good data matters tremendously. So what I've really tried to do is emphasize why now more than ever data is important, this sense of urgency that it touches all of our lives, whether we're in the data profession or just in the general public. And I'm also trying to inspire so that people really appreciate the interconnected nature of everything that we do and how data flows through organizations and flows through all aspects of society. A little bit about the book. It's organized into 10 chapters. I was fortunate to have a foreword to the book written by my colleague and longtime friend, Tom Davenport, who's a fellow with New Vantage Partners. So in terms of the 10 chapters, I begin with a little history of big data. That's a play on words, little and big. But the notion is I've spent a generation in the field, so it's really trying to share what I've learned, what's changed and what's not changed. Data has continued to proliferate, new sources of data, greater computing power. But people are really facing the same questions that they were facing 35 or 40 years ago. How can we gain insights? How can we act on that knowledge? How can we be smarter about what we do based upon the data that we have? The second chapter of the book is called Think Different, Becoming Data-Driven, and it really is about the mindset that becoming a data-driven organization requires a different way of thinking, because data flows across our organization, particularly legacy organizations aren't typically set up to manage data as an asset. I move into a few other chapters, including the state of data in the corporate world today. We do an annual executive survey of Fortune 1000 C executives. And some of the data that report from the book is that the majority of organizations do not see themselves as being data-driven or having data culture or competing in data and analytics or leveraging data as a business asset. So what that means is two things. One is we've been at this for a long time and organizations are still struggling. But secondly, it represents a tremendous opportunity for organizations and individuals to learn and grow. And there'll be a significant demand keeping everybody busy for the coming years, decades, and generation. I also talk about the rise of the chief data officer, something that have been closely involved with. The first chief data officer for a top 4 U.S. global bank came out of our firm in the early 2010s. So have been advising organizations and actually serving as interim chief data officers for several Fortune 1000 companies. Probably my favorite chapter in the book is where I talk about data responsibility and data ethics, which I think is becoming increasingly important. And this is the one cautionary chapter in the book, and I'll read from it briefly. And this is from a quote from the Wall Street Journal from about 3 years ago that could still apply today. And it goes as follows. Big data is the big bad of our moment. Companies and governments amass enormous troves of information about our online and offline activities so they can understand them better than we do. Creepy firms like Cambridge Analytica mine big data from websites such as Facebook. Facebook itself seems increasingly creepy, grounding and lying to the public about what happens to the data it collects. So, that's a particular point of view, but organizations are becoming more and more sensitive to the importance of data ethics and data responsibility. You may have seen the recent announcement this week, MasterCard, CVS Health, and about 12, Facebook as well, about 12 large Fortune 1000 US company banded together to form a new data and AI Ethics Consortium. And then lastly, in the book, I close with a couple chapters on the glimpse of the future. I'll look at data-driven AI and also data-driven leadership, one company's odyssey. In this particular case, I traced the work that American Express had done over a decade, and what has worked and what has not worked, and how they've remedied that in terms of becoming a successful organization. And lastly, I conclude with a quote from Doug Cutting, who's been in the data field, was a founder of Cloudera, and he points to the fact that becoming data-driven is really a journey. It's not a destination. It's not something that you get to and you can sit back and relax and enjoy the holidays. It requires a relentless pursuit and a relentless drive to become a data-driven organization. So Doug Cutting says, organizations and individuals are on a data journey. It is a slow revolution, a revolution over time. Let iterative success grow and then spread. It is ultimately a process, but perfection is unachievable. It will always be a continuous journey. So thank you very much for having me today, and I would be happy to answer a few questions.
Thank you very much, Randy. This was super insightful.
Yes, absolutely. Always a pleasure to talk to you, Randy. I know we've spoken quite a bit, and you've spoken to Ravit. I know we're giving away your book today to a few lucky people, so we'll leave it with you to look through the comments and look at some of the questions that came in and select the winners for best questions asked. We will take a couple of the questions here today, and I really love this one. I don't know who this was. This was a LinkedIn user. They have their privacy settings on. How fast is fast when it comes to failing? Is there sort of a time period associated with this?
Well, it's, fail fast is a metaphor for learning from experience. And certainly people in the data science world are used to test and learn, but it also means really decreasing iteration speeds, doing everything faster. I know throughout my career, I've always tried 9 things for everything 9 things that fail for every one that succeeds. So you have to basically determine your time frame based upon the larger context that you're working within. But I know, for example, I was often judged. I had a number that I needed to hit each year in terms of revenue. And I knew if I tried one thing and that wasn't working and it was January, then, I could slowly adopt another thing. But if it got to September and I wasn't making that number, I needed to start fail fast and learn faster on a weekly basis.
Yep. That makes sense. Thank you for sharing. Question here from Kimberly. And she says, happy holidays. For small size companies, how would you best advise them to start their data journey and scale as they grow?
Yeah, honestly, work more with large organizations that have complex legacy environments. I think that small companies have an advantage because it's more of a greenfield opportunity. They don't have to worry about 50 or 100 or 150 years of systems, processes, culture. So I think smaller firms can, really, they have a greenfield opportunity and they can follow the paths of the Amazons and Googles and do it much easier, hopefully.
Yes, hopefully, but we can have hope. And I think we have time for just one more question here. What sectors do you see encountering the biggest challenges with data and using data for leadership and decisions?
Well, I think, one of the, at least in terms of investment, financial services is a huge investor in data initiatives. Financial services companies have been investing in data for 3 or 4 decades now. And the reason why is because customer relationships is so high value for those organizations. It's not like buying a box of cereal. Each customer relationship is worth hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to the organization. So they need to fight for every dollar. The biggest thing I've seen over the past 2 years is life sciences and pharmaceutical companies going at light speed to basically integrate data from all of their activities, all of their scientific initiatives. A lot of this was driven by COVID. So there's really been a tremendous growth in terms of life sciences and pharmaceutical companies escalating and elevating their data game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my answer is all sectors. That's it. I think it's always all of the above. But thank you so much, Randy, for your time here today. And just want to say congratulations. I know I told you this on LinkedIn, but congratulations on your big news. That's exciting. And I wish you all the best with your new journey there.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Happy
Randy.
holidays.
Okay, great. Thank you, Randy. We're going to keep the data party moving here. Ravit, who is
Yes.
up next?
Before talking about our next guest, I would love to ask you one question, Kate. How many hats are you having today? Because every time I see you with a new hat, I just have like 2 of them. So how many do you actually have it there?
Probably about 6 or 7, and
Oh my.
more things are coming. So stay tuned, guys. We're in this holiday spirit here.
Awesome. So we have 5 more speakers coming up. The next speaker talks a lot around dirty data. Any guesses, folks? Who talks a lot about dirty data? You can mention her name. Let's not take her name very soon. With a decade of experience fixing your dirty data, she is the classification guru. She is also the founder and managing director of the Classification Guru Limited, a specialist data classification, taxonomy, customization, and data cleansing consultancy. She is an industry thought leader, TEDx speaker, and author of Between the Spreadsheets. So,
they got one too.
Yes. So, any guesses? Okay, people have already guessed who it is. It's Suzanne Walsh. Also, a little more about her. She is the creator of Quote. Suzanne has developed a methodology to accurately and efficiently classify, cleanse, and check data for errors, which will help protect and prevent costly mistakes. This could save days of laborious cleansing and classifying, and can help your business find cost-saving thought through spend and time management. I can't wait to hear what she has in store today, and waiting for her costume as well, because I know she was doing something
her
fancy.
costume, absolutely. And I'm gonna bring her on. Just quick note that she is doing a giveaway here as well, and we're back to our hashtags, hashtag guru, for you to play. I'm gonna take the screen down for a bit so I can bring Susan. Susan, you're on mute, but Susan, where are you? Oh, there you go. Who was that?
Wow.
I'm here.
You're here. So good to see you here, and you are all dressed up. I'm so excited that you're joining our holiday data book party.
It's
So cool.
Very festive. I love it.
It's so cool that you have my books, like my book.
Yay, we all have it. Awesome. This is so much fun. Yeah, I love talking to all of the amazing authors. And I know, Susan, you and I speak almost on a daily basis. Look at you. Ravit, I don't have one of those, Susan. I don't know.
I'm lucky.
And I don't know, Kate. I don't think you've got yours yet. But Ravit,
are you talking about the cookie? I already ate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You already ate it.
Yeah.
So, Susan, before we hop off, I just want to let folks know that they are going to get 2 prizes from you today. One is your book, and show us the other one.
The coup.
The Highland coup. I call it a cow. You call it a coup. It's a cute stuffed animal. That's what it is. So we'll have
only a coup when it's a Highland coup. All the rest are cows.
So guys, hashtag guru to play. Ravit and I are going to hop off the stage, and Susan, I'll put your screen up whenever you tell me to.
I am ready to go. Thanks, Kate and Ravit. Hello, everybody. I am Suzanne Walsh, the classification guru, fixer of dirty data. Welcome to my data den. I'm going to be talking about Between the Spreadsheets for you guys today. And I'm going to do a 10-minute whiz through of all things that might just be in my book in more detail. So first of all, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to talk about what is dirty data, because it's different to all of us. What are the consequences of dirty data? And how can we ensure that data accuracy? And then actually, let's do some practical stuff in Excel. How can you maintain and spot check that data? And then other tools, because not everybody uses Excel, not everybody uses BI or anything else, Alteryx or Click or whoever. And I'm going to share with you something very special that I created at the end, which is the dirty data maturity model. Finalizing with a summary and maybe a little treat for you at the end. So, first of all, who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? Well, first of all, I fell into data by accident, like most of us. You know, that wasn't my first career. After my first business failed, I had to get a job, and I had to just get anything. And so I ended up in spend data classification for a spend analytics company. And that's where I really found my love for data. Not only did I enjoy it, but I was really good at it. And then after 5 years there, I decided to set up the Classification Guru. I've been doing that for 4.5 years now. And I work across all industries, countries, languages. I classify and normalize data, build customized taxonomies, cleanse suppliers for P2P implementations, and cleanse databases. And of course, as you've seen, what we all know about, I've written my book, Between the Spreadsheets. So let's start off with, what is dirty data? Because it can be a whole number of different things. So first of all, it could be misspelt words. It could be incorrect descriptions. It could be missing codes if it's a product. It could be information in the wrong columns. And I see this a lot with addresses. So you end up with the postal or the zip code in the town column, and the state and the city column, and everything's all over the place. Or maybe someone squeezed the whole address into one cell, which causes a whole other world of problems. And then there might not be any standard units of measure. You know, we're increasingly a global community. So how do you spell liters, for example, or kilometers, or meters and miles? You know, what kind of units of measure are we using? And then that might bring with it currency issues as well. You know, I've seen instances where I've had a $500 taxi come up about 5-10 times, and it's because the currency conversion hasn't worked properly. So it's worth checking and making sure you don't have those things. And then here's the one that causes the most controversy. This is formatting issues. And the thing that I'm going to talk about is dates. So I would love for you to put in the comments column how you format your date right now. I just delivered a presentation to a company earlier today. That was one company, and they had lots of different date formats. It's amazing the number of different dates that you will see within even just one department, let alone a company. And that can cause all kinds of issues. You can't get documents to match up because the dates are different. They're all in different formats. It gets crazy. And then with all of those things, we have, of course, our old friends. Where are you? There we go. The duplicates, or the duplicates, maybe. So they will cause multiple efforts of work, extra storage, all kinds of things. And I'm just having a quick look in the comments, and you guys are right. You are all going, and we've all got lots of different date formats, and that's exactly how it is in every single place in the world. So let me just share with you a couple of examples of dirty data in my world. So the first one that I want to share is LinkedIn. So, you know, we are on LinkedIn now. It's a networking platform. It's a recruitment platform. It's a job hunting platform. It's a training platform. What it is not is a restaurant. But somebody classified it as that because the description said restaurant. And that's when context in data is so important. You shouldn't just be looking at one single cell or one single row or one single column. You should be looking at all the data, because then it gives you context and gives you a picture of what should actually be going on. And then the other part of that is that you should never assume that you know something. So my next example is Tinder Corporation. I classified some data for a charity here in the UK, and Tinder came up, and I was like, what? That's not right. And then the description said data cabling. And I thought, well, that doesn't sound right. And there's no way that my client would be using Tinder in any way. So I did a little searching and found that actually Tinder Corporation Limited is here in the UK, and they're an IT services company. So it's a really great example of not just assuming that you know everything, and again, using that context of the data, so all the columns, all the rows, because sometimes it might not be different columns that guide you. It could be the rows and the values. So it could be quantities, or it could be dollar amounts. And you might have like 11111, 500, 1111. Then you can see that something doesn't look quite right. And it's the same with normalization as well. I normalize suppliers, and I see Granger a lot in data sets, but actually in the UK, they're a house builder, and in the US, they're industrial supplies. So again, that's when the data really helps, the context of it, to guide you normalize. Because if I normalized all that together, it would mean that house building or rental would end up being classified as probably hardware, like nuts and bolts. So that's no good either. So why should we even bother about it? Why can we just leave it? Well, actually, you're going to save so much time if you fix your dirty data up front. It's going to be costly to rectify, and it's going to affect decision-making processes, such as things like your bonus or the future of the company, headcount, etc. It's going to impact all areas of the business. It's wasted money that you are throwing out the window. GDPR, for example, or any kind of privacy laws, if your addresses and personal information that you hold is not accurate, you're in breach of those laws, and you could be subject to a heavy fine. And then reputational damage too. What if you do get fined a huge, like 4% of your turnover? The damage to the reputation could be much higher than the cost. And of course, dirty data makes your life more difficult, and who wants that? But, these are all negative things. Is there any, benefits to, keeping our data clean and not having some problems? Well, yes, there is. And that's increased profitability. So you might be working on a project and you might have clean data, and it might mean that you finish your project in 80% of the time instead of 100% of the time. That makes the project more profitable, which means your business company makes more money, which means you might get a bonus. So hopefully, in theory, it might benefit everybody. But, that's great. What about the consequences, the real consequences of dirty data to a business? What can happen? Well, it can affect things like cost savings if you're in procurement, supplier negotiations, supplier rationalization, forecasting. Imagine you order too much or not enough. Budgets. Targeting the right customers. Imagine if you have the wrong information in your database and you're sending out all this post to the wrong people. What a waste of money. And then shipping the correct products. If the product codes are wrong, then it's not going to go to the right place. And it's analytics as well that it affects. So here's some unnormalized suppliers. When we normalize them, look at that. There's only 4 there, and the values have changed. That could hugely impact decisions that are made within a business. And it's things like technology implementation as well. Data cleansing is often neglected. You only find the errors once it's, implemented. Staff lose faith in the data. They don't want to use it. They don't trust it. And they go back to siloed Excel sheets. It costs a lot of money to fix. You have to hope that staff will adopt that technology. And then the project is abandoned. And that happens a lot. And then with AI, machine learning and automation, it's the same thing. People are not cleaning it. The AI learns from training data sets. If they're not clean, it's going to just learn from bad data. Same with ML. And it's the old adage. It really is what they say, rubbish in and rubbish out. So I've got to move on here. So ensuring data accuracy, how can we do that? Well, first of all, there is no quick fix, magic button, or software that will help you. You have to look at new data, but with a person. You have to get the whole organization involved. Data is everyone's responsibility, not just data people. You have to agree those common standards and processes. You have to maintain and refresh that data. That's my biggest tip that will make your life easier. And spot check it too, because people can accidentally delete things, cut and paste, overwrite. It can cause a whole load of problems. And then you have to make sure that your data has its coat on. So first of all, it has to be consistent. Then it has to be organized. Then it has to be accurate. And then it has to be trustworthy. And very quickly, I'm going to go through maintaining and spot checking the data. So very quickly, if you have just Excel, you can open a pivot. It's not the easiest way, but you can put it into a tabular form, remove the subtotals. Then you'll have everything along the way. You can start to scroll down and look at, say, names and classifications or product codes and descriptions. You can also add in detail if you wanted, and then you can scroll down that way. In terms of other tools that might be used, well, it's the ones that we all know. It's things like BI, Tableau, Click, Alteryx. I personally use Omniscope. Then jumping on, the dirty data maturity model, plenty more of that in the book. This is basically something for everybody to get the whole organization relating to understanding where their dirty data is on the scale and how they can make it better. And this is something that anybody could look at and understand regardless of where they are. So very quickly, I'm going to summarize now. And, it's accurate data is critical. There are no shortcuts. Know and maintain your data. Agree those common standards. Get everybody involved and make sure that data has its coat on. And I don't know if I have time, but I'm going to play this anyway.
Are you leaving your data out in the cold? You wouldn't go out into sub-zero temperatures without the correct protection, so why do so many companies forget to protect their data? Unprotected data can lead to bad business decisions that cost money and put jobs at risk. That's why your data needs its coat on. This means making sure your data is consistent, organized, accurate, and trustworthy. Consistent means using the same standards, terms, and classifications company-wide. Organized data makes it easier to find. Think of it like a messy closet. It can be difficult to find what you're after, even when you know it's in there. When organized correctly, it becomes easier to find what we want. Data should be accurate, which can mean different things to different people, but at its most basic level, accurate data is correct. And finally, data should be trustworthy. This is critical. If your team can't trust the data, they might not use it. And business decisions around jobs, staffing, and budgets are all based on data, so it's got to be right. Like any code, there are differences in the quality of data services out there. If you buy a cheap coat, it might not be waterproof or protect you enough, and it won't last more than one season. If you don't invest in good quality data services, you will end up paying twice as much, if not more in the long run, to fix the earlier mistakes. If you'd like to speak to an expert about data in your own business, visit theclassificationguru.com to find out more.
And that is me. There is my QR code. Come find me on LinkedIn, ask me questions. And yeah, thank you for letting me overrun Kate and Ravit. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we almost cut you off twice, Susan. You went over and then you went over again. It's okay. Our audience is patient and they wanted to hear from you. And you have cool prizes to make up for going over time.
Yeah, I'll just do less questions. It's fine.
Yeah, we're not going to take any questions. We're just going to do the giveaway. How's that?
Let's do it.
So as a reminder, we're getting the book. Let's do the book first.
Yes.
I'm gonna share my screen. #Guru to play, guys. So we're gonna do the book giveaway first, and then after that, we're gonna do the little Highland coup. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw the very first. And you had me put my sweater on because of all that cold coat talk. Got cold here. All right, Graham. Congratulations.
Yay.
Graham, send me a message, please. And I'll
contact Susan directly, and she will go ahead and get you the book. And for the second drawing, I'm going to go ahead. This is exciting. I should have entered because I really want one of those.
I did.
I have all the books. You did. Okay, good luck, Ravit. I hope you win. Let's see.
I hope.
Isn't that against
congratulations to Magdalena.
Again, second time. Wow.
That's great. She won something else before. This is awesome.
I guess the inner circle. Yes.
I love this. I recognize that name. Susan, if you do have time, you do have several questions that did come in. If you want to hop in,
I will absolutely answer them. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. All right.
Thanks,
we're going to go ahead and move on, by Susan, to our very next speaker. So, Ravit, I'll let you take it away.
Yes, our next speaker is well known as the godfather of the data literacy, having helped pioneer the field by building one of the world's first data literacy programs and driving thought leadership. It's none other than Jordan Morrow. Jordan is the head of data design and management skills at Pluralsight and a global trailblazer in the world of data literacy, having built one of the world's first data literacy programs. He served as the chair of the advisory board for the Data Literacy Project, has spoken at numerous conferences around the world, and is an active voice in the data and analytics community. He also helped companies and organizations around the world, including United Nations, build and understand data literacy. When not found within his work of data, Jordan is happily married with 5 kids. Jordan is also an avid trail runner and loves fitness, entering and racing in multiple ultra marathons and having fun adventures in the mountains. We often see him posting photos in the mountains. So yes, and Jordan loves to read, often reading or using Audible to go through multiple books at a time. And his today's session title is Data Literacy Skills. Let's have Jordan up.
Awesome. I'm going to bring Jordan up. So here's his book. He is kind enough to, of course, give away a few copies of the book. We are going to have a hashtag that we share here. For Jordan's book, it's hashtag Data Lit. It stands for Data Literacy. I wanted to make it shorter. Yes, let's go hashtag Data Lit to bring Jordan on here. And let's go ahead and bring him on. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Oh, man, I need a better hat. Although Kate, this is Leadville. So,
oh my God! Well, you didn't run it yet. I can't be impressed until you actually run it.
You can be impressed.
Okay, fine. You won. You got into a lottery. Like, who can't do that, right?
No, I did the charity event. That's what I did.
Okay. Well, Jordan, we're not going to take up too much of your time. Absolutely. I know you got some cool running medals back there. We're going to hop off stage. Okay. And guys, put your questions in the comments, and also don't forget the hashtag
Data Lit.
We'll give away 2 books, so you're going to do 2 random drawings, and we'll have them reach out to me.
Perfect. Awesome. All right, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Well, thank you for having me. And of course, I had to, even though I'm a trail runner, I've got my sloth who is drinking, because how in the world do I follow Susan? I mean, she had a cartoon, great outfit. I can't follow Susan, but I do want to take just a few minutes and thank Ravit and Kate and everybody else who is sharing thoughts and everything through this session today. What a great panel, what a great idea and a great way to do this. So for me, let me talk a little bit about my book, my background with data literacy, because yes, I did help pioneer and invent it. That nickname that you see at the bottom of the screen, the Godfather of Data Literacy, I did not give myself. It was shared with me at some point that was my nickname, and I did not know it. My other nickname is the Chief Nerd Officer, and I think I enjoy that nickname better. But for my presentation today, I just want to share something, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how to start in data literacy. I was presenting just this morning to one of the world's largest telecom companies, and the number one question I get is, how do I start? How do I start? How do I start? And I'm going to give you a 5-step plan that you could get started on here. And as I do it, I'll talk a little bit about the book that's sitting over my shoulder here and talk a little bit about how it came to be. So first off, a little bit about the book. A few years ago, when I started to have ideas, when you think about this world of data, when we think about how much data exists, how much is out there at our fingertips, a lot of companies are not getting good adoption. They're not getting adoption with data tools, with data and analytics, but they're investing so much money to make it happen. A lot of times what gets blamed is the tools, when in reality, a lot of times it's the data literacy skills of an organization. And so years ago, I was working for American Express, and I was training and put in charge of all the training for all the dashboards and everything we were putting out there. In the process of doing that, the reality was that we were just training people how to use dashboards. And my mind started to think about, how do we train people to do more? How do you actually do data and statistics and things like that? And I built this plan. I built an entire plan around it, presented it to my EVP at the company, and she just flat turned me down and said, no, we're not going to do that. People aren't ready. Just train them how to do the dashboards, maybe in the future. Now, in fairness, she might be the smartest person I have ever met, but at the same time, she was a lot like Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory, if you watch that show. And so I didn't even realize what we were stumbling upon. And that was that's 7-8 years ago. And then Click hired me to be an entrepreneur, and I've since left Click and had the opportunity to come to Pluralsight, where I'm VP of Data Skills. The reality is this book came about because of, one, I had a publisher and a friend, Bernard Marr, videoed me, and the publisher came and said, hey, do you want to write a book for us on data literacy? Little secret that a lot of people may know, may not know, is book 2. Just the manuscript was just submitted, final manuscript. So that'll be out next year. I won't tell anybody yet what that is going to be about, but for next year's holiday party, we can cover that book. But let me give you 5 steps on how to start your data literacy journey, how to actually get going. Because I think a lot of times we have this mistaken idea in our minds that we truly have to become technical. We have to get in statistics. Do I need to do data science and all these things? And the reality is the answer is no. You don't have to be a data scientist to be data literate. You don't have to be a data scientist to be good and strong and be able to use data. The first step I want you to do is I want you to set an outcome. What is it that you're trying to achieve with data literacy and learning? Is it to get better at interpreting data visualizations? Is it to get better at answering questions or asking questions? Is it just learning to use the 4 levels of analytics: descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive? Many different things can be your outcome, but set your outcome. We had Lillian mention earlier about mentors and that she mentors. Find a mentor if you don't know the outcome you're looking to achieve. Find it. You've got a whole slew of authors on this and amazing people who know what they're doing in data. I like to think I know what I'm doing in data, and Kate would probably tell you I don't, and that's okay. But the reality is, find a mentor to help you set that outcome. Number 2, set a strategy to achieve that outcome. That strategy might be study 15 minutes a day. In my mind, I have this big thought process, or I shouldn't call it a big thought process, kind of this theme of a daily 15. And what that is if you can incrementally gain 1% every day for a year, you will have magnified 37 times over that year. So set a daily 15. 1% of 24 hours is 14.4 minutes. Round it up to 15. Set a strategy for 15 minutes every day. I will get better at asking questions. I will study Brent's book or Susan's book or Scott's book or Randy's book. I will do something for 15 minutes every day. Third thing that you could do to improve your data literacy is invest in the tools and technology that you need to achieve it. It could be a data visualization tool like Tableau, Power BI, Click. It could be investing in Susan's ability to cleanse data and do things like that. All of these things, the investment in the tools and technology matter. Step 4, invest in your skill set, right? Data literacy is all about improving your skill set, improving how you can work with data and things like that. So what skills do you need? Now, there are 2 different channels or 2 different pillars of skills that you're going to have to invest in. There is the technical learning. If it's Tableau, you're going to have to invest in building a data visualization. You're going to have to do that. You're going to have to invest in how to interpret those visualizations. On the data literacy side, the definition of data literacy is the ability to read, work with, analyze, and communicate with data. Do we need to build in one of those 4 skills? Yeah, find your areas. If you don't know what areas you need to improve in, ask your mentor or find assessments that you can do that will help you improve in those areas. And then finally, the 5th step that you can do is ensure that your environment is conducive to taking on this challenge of improving your data literacy skills. Meaning your environment, your own beliefs, your own rituals, the traditions, the way you go about your day. If you haven't set yourself up for success, and this goes for anything, it might not work. And so you want to set those things up for success. Now, those 5 steps again are: set your outcome, build a strategy, find the technology that you need to succeed, close your own personal skills gap, and then set your environment up. The final thing I want to talk about is get really good at the 3 C's of data literacy. Be more curious, so ask a ton of questions. Question everything. Question why in the world you came to watch this today. Was it to figure out what books to buy? Was it to learn something from the authors? Was it something, whatever it was? Question everything. Number 2, become more creative. Become creative in how you use data. We have to remember that data and analytics for a lot of people is an intimidating topic. If you're just starting off, there is a lot that you can learn. There's data ethics, data governance, data cleansing. There's AI, ML, data science, data visualization, data analyst, statistics. The list is massive. Be creative. Find those areas. Find curiosity. Question everything. And number 3, be better at critical thinking. Develop your critical thinking skills, digging deep. In Cal Newport's book, Deep Work, he talks about how our brains have 4 hours a day of deep work. That's it. Only 4 hours. That is not answering emails. It's not commenting on posts. It's turning things down, shutting it down, and critically thinking and diving in. Those would be my 5 steps in the 3 C's. Now, a final story on the book, and then I'll bring Kate and Ravit back on. And that is, with this book, I was running down. It's funny. I was actually running down from that trail right there. That trail is Lake Blanche in Utah. And as I was coming down that trail, I believe it was right after my book launched earlier this year. And so I ran into a friend who was coming up the trail. And in talking to her, she's like, congrats on the book. I'm probably too stupid to get it. If anyone thinks that, they're missing the point of data literacy. The design of that book and data literacy in general is empowering everybody to be able to use data, to have confidence and comfort, not to think you have to be a data scientist, just get better in using data. So thank you for your time, Kate and Ravit. You're welcome to come back on. We can answer a couple questions and we can do a couple shuffles and have those people reach out to me for the books.
This was amazing, Jordan. Certainly, I learn a lot from you in terms of data literacy. You always make us more data literate. And I always say, be data literate with Jordan. So thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Jordan, thank you so much for your presentation. We do have time for a couple of questions and we are doing the giveaway. I think I'm going to bring this up on the screen first. So hashtag data-lit. So folks just get a reminder to get their hashtags in there. Dolly is excited for book 2. Are you gonna tell us what this is about yet, or?
I won't share the title, but it is a transition. So the first book was about the individual. This next book is truly about being data driven. What does it mean? How does an organization become data driven? Principles within it absolutely will help the individual to progress beyond that one. And tomorrow I have a call with the publisher for book 3, which we'll keep that one. The stream is going, so it's great.
Once you start, you just can't stop, I guess.
Yes, so I've fooled them all, Kate. I've got everyone fooled that I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to keep that gravy train rolling.
Keep it going, yes. All right, question here from Neil. How important do you think self-service data is in enabling data literacy? And are centralized reporting teams a blocker to enterprise data literacy, in your opinion?
So Neil, it's a good question. Yes, I would actually say if you centralize everything, you are going to impede an organization's data literacy as a whole because the data is not getting to the masses. But what's interesting is it was the democratization and self-service of data at American Express that got my ideas rolling about data literacy, because the vast majority of people do not have skills in data and analytics. If you think about it, they don't go to school for it. They don't get a background, any of that. And so I should say, we hear about data all the time. We have natural skills in it, but when you democratize it to the masses and they don't have that background, as you can imagine, it's going to fall short. And so, yes, self-service should absolutely be happening, but it has to be married and partnered up with the data literacy initiative so you actually get insight from all that data. Or what you find, and I talk about this often, is you're going to find that you're just stuck in building dashboards. You don't really progress through the analytical chain, which is to drive insight. All you're going to get is a pretty chart that tells you what happened, and no one knows how to get the insight out of it, or very few do. So yes, self-service data should be happening. Centralized teams can be good as long as there's a hybrid approach to it and that the data is then given out to the masses.
Awesome, thank you. And last question before we announce winners. You mentioned you read the book Deep Work, and I've also read that book. I really loved it. I was very inspired by it, right? It makes you really want to go into a cabin by yourself, lock the world out and really produce something. But I feel like once the book was over and a few days passed, I sort of didn't do that. I still have my technology available to me at most times, and wanted to ask how you were able to apply this to your life.
So I would turn it back to, I am not big on social media anymore, which is one of the biggest distractions. I find social media to be a good thing as long as it's used appropriately, right? Our world is full of distractions, but we also have, and it's full of all these things that give us comfort. We also have more mental illness and mental health issues than ever before. And so this book, Deep Work, let's turn it back, Kate, to the daily 15, right? To sit here and say, I'm going to just instantly get rid of things for 4 hours and just dig deep work. It's not going to happen. Start small. You can't boil the ocean. It's the same thing with my ultra marathon running. I'm not going to go out and run a 50-mile race by just running 30 miles tomorrow. You're going to start small, right? Start at that daily 15. If people are looking to remove distraction and do deep work, start small, use cumulative gains over time, and just improve your schedule. And over time, yes, you can get to that true 4 hours of deep work. You can go to the cabin in the woods. You can be Henry David Thoreau, whatever you want to be. But You got to start small. And if you start with like a daily 15, the other thing that I would recommend, keep a journal, right? Keep a journal and write down those things that are impeding you. Okay, this impeded me today. Can I make it the next day? That might be your daily 15, but that could be data literacy. It could be anything that you're trying to gain.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Jordan. Very motivating. We're going to do the giveaway now. So 2 books. We're going to draw the first book. If
now,
you
in all
are...
fairness, Kate, I finished that book and I didn't get very good at it. You know, you
fall back. Yeah, I'm working on it. I really am.
Everybody falls back into bad patterns, including myself. It's, are you pointing in the right direction? And I think that matters the most. So, Kaylin.
Kaylin, yes, please.
Reach out to me.
Congratulations. Reach out to Jordan, and he will put you in touch with how you can get the book. Absolutely. And we're going to draw this one more time. Ready? Drum roll, please.
All the best.
Good luck, everybody. Let's see. Our second winner is Johanna. Oh, look, she's got a Santa hat on. Look at that. I love it.
Absolutely. Just reach out to me on LinkedIn, connect with me, and we can get those books out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jordan. It's always great to have you. Good luck with your Leadville run. Guys, Absolutely. She's running 100 miles. When is this?
Wow.
In May?
Well, no, that one's in August. I have a 50-miler in March.
Okay. Well, good luck with that one as well. And thank you so much for joining us.
All the best, Jordan.
Awesome. Thank you both.
All right. All right, Ravit, who is up next?
It's none other than Marleen Meier. I've worked with her on her book. I was the community manager back then with PACT, and love her book, Mastering Tableau 2021. Her session title for today is a 5-minute machine learning model in Tableau. So feel free to have those questions coming in. A little about Marleen. She's graduated with a bachelor and master in sports sciences and mathematics from the WW University in Münster, Germany in 2013. After that, she started her career in data science, working in Europe and United States. Her passion is helping people working in data and communicating results. Mastering Tableau 2021 is the second edition in the series. And this is how huge the book is that she has written.
Yes.
Oh my. Are we giving away any books? Are we doing that, Kate?
Yes, we're giving away books, and we're doing it hashtag style. And to make it easy, hashtag Tableau, guys. And we are giving away, it looks like 5 ebooks. So hashtag Tableau, and we're going to have 5 winners. So guys, lots of chances to win here. And I remember I had Marleen on my show. I think it was earlier this year. My time's sort of been mixed up since COVID. Could have been late last year, but either way, it was a great show. So guys, hashtag Tableau to enter. And I will bring Marleen up on our stage. Marleen,
hello.
Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction.
It's very good to have you here. I have your screen, and I will share that once Ravit and I hop off stage, and we'll be back for some questions.
Perfect. So, hey everyone. My book is about many topics, many things that you can do in Tableau, but I want to focus on one specific thing that is not being used as much, I think. Maybe you can prove me wrong. But it is the connection Python to Tableau and the way you can use, for example, machine learning models and present the output immediately in Tableau. So I want to go step by step through the process on how you can set it up. And we are talking about a movie recommendation system. Can we get that screen bigger? Yes, thank you. So, okay. So currently you can see the final output, but I will go step by step, like I said. So first step, install Python. And you can use, for example, anaconda.com, and then you get the Python installation as well as some pre-installed libraries. So that's easy. Then next step, install TAPI. So how to do this is basically just to go to your terminal or command line, and you can say pip install TAPI, or if you installed Anaconda, you can do in Jupyter Notebook ! Pip install TAPI. And then in order to load it or to start it up, you go to the location and you can see it here. So mine, it's in the side packages in the Python installation. And then you just say tab pi and it will start. You will see a few lines so you know the system started. Then you go back to your Tableau screen and you go to Help, Settings and Performance, Manage Analytics Extension Connection, and then you enter localhost as the host name and port 9004, and then you should get a pop-up saying connection established. So now the connection is set. Now we only need to write the code. So there are a few different calculated fields in Tableau available. You can see them at the top: script, Boolean, integer, real, and string. And how the syntax works is that you start, like always, with the function, and then in brackets you put what you want to import, so the libraries, and what you want to return. And then you say how many arguments you want to return, and then you put a comma, and then the last part is the argument itself. So in this example, we only have one argument, and that is the sum of profit. You could also do argument 1, comma, argument 2, and then you would just put more fields that you already have in Tableau before you close the bracket. So in our case, for the movie recommendation system, I went to Kaggle and I just downloaded a data set of movies from IMDb. And I also found a movie recommendation model. So I just took that one. It doesn't matter if it works well or not, because I just want to show you how you can do it. But of course, you can also adjust the model, change it to something else. So in Python, or in this case, it's the screenshot from the Jupyter Notebook, you have to import the tab by client and then make the connection. So those are the first 3 lines. Then you just type out your model. And then, like I said, I just used one already existing one from Kaggle. And then once you are done, you deploy the model by saying client.deploy, the name of your function, you give it another name that you will see later on. And that's it. So this is really all you have to do. Then we go back to the Tableau screen. You use your function. In this case, it's script string. And then you can see that we say return the query for the movie recommend function. And that is the one that we just deployed to the TabPy server. We add the argument, a response, and then the argument in our Tableau workbook is the parameter title. Because here you can see from a very long list of titles, you just select one and the code will return 10 recommendations that you will like if you like this movie selected. So before this session, I was looking at the Spider-Man movie, but now I already changed it to Snatch, and I added a URL action. So by clicking on this link, you can see more in the Tableau workbook about the movie. You can also see that since I like Snatch, those are the 10 movies recommended to me that I might like. So if I want more information, I just click here and can read about it and then decide which one I want to watch tonight. And this is basically it. I know this is a little bit fast, but I just want to show you that it is very easy to deploy a model to Tableau, and you don't even need like a full production flow. You can just use Tableau for it, and you have a really nice working model. And if you want to see everything, also the code or maybe the link that I used from Kaggle, I will put it all on my website. So I will just put it in here, maybe in the next few days, and you will find everything there. Kate.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, Marleen.
Hi.
This was amazing session. Thanks for getting us through and running us through this. And I know you've been traveling a lot. But still you made it. So appreciate it.
Yes, Marleen, thank you so much. Amazing talk. I love the change of pace because we actually got a nice walkthrough of potentially something that folks were not even aware that you can do, is connecting Tableau and Python. So that was really helpful. Yeah. We have a question here from the audience. Is this walkthrough in the book?
Yes, it is. Step by step and slower than I just talked.
Yes, a 5-minute tutorial is a 5-minute tutorial, right? It goes by very fast.
Yeah.
I think it's time for us to do the 5-book giveaway. I know that's gonna be fun. So guys, just a quick reminder: the hashtag we're using here is #Tableau. We're going to do the first giveaway right now, and then I'll ask another question, and then we'll do the rest. So
yeah, maybe one remark. Sorry. So in the book, there's a different use case. It's not movie recommendation, but it works exactly the same.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
All right. And Julio is our very first winner. Congratulations.
Yay.
And Julio, please contact Marleen directly, and she'll put you in touch with the team at Pact so they can go through with that giveaway. We'll take a question here, and the question is, do you need Tableau server, or where does the code actually run?
You don't need Tableau server. It will run in your Python instance.
Okay.
And then it will be sent back to your Tableau desktop.
Okay, got it. And I see lots of #Tableaus are coming through. So let's go ahead and draw 4 more times. So our second winner of the Tableau book here is, I love how it slows down at the end. Antti, congratulations.
Yay.
I won't even let the dust settle. I'm gonna just
click
it. Because five books is a lot. But I think it's awesome because it really lets out.
Julio,
congratulations. It really gives an opportunity to a lot of folks to participate in the giveaway. So thank you to Pact for providing this. All right, lucky number 4. We have John Fowler. Congratulations. And for the 5th and final winner of the Tableau book, we're going to draw one more time here. All right, let's see. Our final winner is John. Congratulations. I love to see these happy faces of winners. Awesome. And Christina noticed that I changed again. Yes, I'm trying to go through as many changes as possible. It's an evolution here. So, all right. Well, Marleen, I want to thank you again so much for the presentation, and thank you for being part of our Data Holiday book party.
Thanks, Marleen.
No problem. It was a pleasure. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Okay. Let's go ahead. We have just a few more speakers that we're going to have on our virtual stage here. So, Ravit, who is up next?
2 more to go. The next one is we'll be getting into more deep with John Krohn, and his session title is Deep Learning's Neurobiology Origins. A little about John Krohn. John Krohn is the chief data scientist at the machine learning company Nebula. He authored the book Deep Learning Illustrated, and instant #1 best-selling. He's also the host of Super Data Science, the industry's most listened to podcast. So we will be talking to John today, but also for a fact that you guys can ask him a lot around weightlifting. He does a lot of it, so can't wait to hear his thoughts on that too.
Yeah, great. If you want to do
his book.
Yeah, I have his book. We're doing a giveaway as well. Of course, this is all about giving back to the community. So yes, we're going to give away the book. If you want to do weightlifting, though, I recommend Marleen's book because it's the heaviest one in the pile. So guys, if you want to win John Krohn's book, Deep Learning Illustrated, really awesome book, #Deep Learning to play here. And I'm going to go ahead and bring John up on our stage here. John, we match. Look at that.
John.
We have
Hey, what's up?
Wow.
Yeah, I was thinking I
Welcome to the
didn't
show.
have any Christmas stuff, but then I saw people in their Christmas sweaters, and I was like, I do have Christmas sweaters.
Amazing.
I actually bought this one for a 5K ugly Christmas sweater run a few years ago. So I dug this one up, but we won't take up much of your time. Just last reminder, hashtag deep learning to play, and definitely put your questions in the comments for those who are joining us live. We're going to jump off the virtual stage and let you take it away, John.
Nice. Thank you, Kate and Ravit. All right. So my talk is about the neurobiology history, the inspiration from neuroscience research that is behind the deep learning that has taken over the world today. So the illustrations that you see in this deck, they're by Agley Bassins, who is the illustrator of Deep Learning Illustrated. And yes, here we are at the holiday book party. So this is a guy named Frank Rosenblatt. Frank Rosenblatt was a computer scientist in the 1950s, and he was inspired by the way that biological brain cells work. So biological brain cells, they have many inputs that we call dendrites, and each of those inputs carries an electrical signal from other brain cells in your brain that aggregate in the cell body. And then based on the aggregated information from all of these inputs, an individual brain cell decides to either fire its own electrical signal or not to. And so your biological brain cells that you have in your brain have many inputs and only one output, and that output is binary. It either fires or doesn't fire. So this, our early understanding in the 1950s of how biological brain cells how they work, inspired Frank Rosenblatt to create an artificial neuron that followed the same kinds of ideas, roughly speaking. So an artificial neuron is a simple algorithm that takes in many inputs. It does a weighted averaging of the inputs, and then based on that weighted average, it decides to either output or not output some value. So typically in his original way that he created them, they outputted a 1 or a 0, depending on the weighted sum of inputs that were fed into it. And so these artificial neurons can be arranged together into a network so that you could have many layers of them, just like your biological brain has many layers. So this idea of artificial neurons that came up in the 1950s, it is the same technology, the same concept, all of these decades later, 70 years later, 7 decades later, that is behind the machine vision algorithms everywhere, for example, that can recognize your face and unlock your phone, the natural language processing algorithms that can recognize your voice and activate your home device, deep learning with these same kind of artificial neural networks is behind technology called generative adversarial networks that allow us to create really compelling fakes. So these are 2 fake people, images that were made up by training a deep learning network on high resolution celebrity photos. And deep learning is even behind the kinds of AI systems we have today that do complex sequential decision making, like self-driving cars, for example. So I mentioned to you that we have these artificial neurons. We already kind of looked at how they work. They have many inputs and one output, and they can be somewhat powerful on their own. But the real power of these artificial neurons is when we layer them together. And this, again, this idea of layering these artificial neurons comes from the way that your biological brain works. So when you look at something, say you're looking at a mouse, a huge amount of information is taken from your eyes to the back of your skull to an area called the primary visual cortex. And so there's just tons and tons and tons and tons of information coming from this raw photons pounding your eyes. And so in order to take all of that visual information that's pounding your eyes and convert it into something that's useful to you so that you can pick out a mouse from all of the other visual stimulation around you, you have these layers of brain cells that do increasingly complex computation. So the very first brain cells in your primary visual cortex that receive the photons of light, the information about the photons of light from your eyes, those are called simple cells, and they can detect straight lines only. And then they pass information to a second layer of cells, which we can call complex cells. And these complex cells can recombine information from the first layer, so straight lines, into corners and curves and other kinds of simple shapes that are created from just some straight lines. And then as we go to a third layer, that third layer can recombine the curves and corners into increasingly complex, increasingly abstract shapes. And then through several subsequent layers of processing indicated by these hatched lines here, you can start to have a visual representation of a very complex visual object like a mouse, a cat, a bird, a dog, or anything, really, anything you can see with your eyes. So this is how your biological brain works. So we have in total with my, with the hatched lines here, you have many, many billions of biological brain cells in your visual cortex that allows you to see. And so we know, for example, that primary visual area that I was talking about right here at the back of your brain is dealing just with straight lines. And as you go further and further away from that center there, from that V1 area, the brain is doing more and more complex processing, such that in the human brain, for example, there's this area over here, right at the edge of your visual cortex, which is back here. The fusiform face area, right at the edge of it, is specialized to detect faces only. So if you happen to have brain damage just to that area, you'll lose the ability to recognize human faces, but will otherwise have no cognitive deficits. So this is the second way, the second major way that neurobiology has inspired deep learning. So earlier we talked about the artificial neurons, the individual components of a deep learning system. And now you can see the inspiration for how we layer those artificial neurons in order to do really sophisticated processing, such as in a machine vision system. So here we have a machine vision system called AlexNet, which was the absolute state of the art in machine vision in 2012. And you can, and kind of broken down here, it's just layers of artificial neurons. So it's the same algorithm as we had from the 1950s, but we just layer lots of them. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 layers of artificial neurons here. On the far left, we have some input image. So we have a 224 by 224 pixel image that is fed into the network. And then the network learns by being provided millions of training images, as well as labels as to what those images are. So in this case, we have 1,000 different categories of images. So some of them are ships, roosters, dining tables, grocery stores, dogs, wheels, all kinds of things. And based on that training data set of images and labels, the intervening layers of the deep neural network, the deep learning system, they automatically figure out what the most important things they should be recognizing are. So in the first layer here, just like in the first layer of your brain, the artificial neurons in this layer can recognize straight lines and straight lines only. So they recognize straight lines at different orientations. So in this particular deep learning architecture, there are 96 artificial neurons, and you can see what each one of those 96 is specialized to detect here in this matrix. And then as we go deeper into the network, by this third layer, we've recombined straight lines into curves and corners, and by this third layer into textures. And you can see 9 examples of what the artificial neurons in that layer are specialized to detect. And then just like in your biological system, as we go further to the right, as we go deeper into the network, we can have more and more complex, more and more abstract visual imagery handled by the system. So by this layer here, we have artificial neurons that specialize in detecting dog faces or clock faces or wheels. And then through a few more layers of processing, we can then output a probability that any given input image is one of these 1,000 possible classes. So it's a ship or a grocery store or a dining room table. So that, in a few minutes, is how deep learning works. And that is the basis of my book, Deep Learning Illustrated. So the opening pages go over in more detail the story that I just told you. And so Agle Bassins, the illustrator, this is an illustration of herself, a self-illustration shown on my slides now. Grant Baileveldt was my co-author. And yeah, there's the book. If you want to get 35% off, there is a code there if you're not one of the lucky winners for the giveaway that we're giving in a second. You can also get it on Amazon and that kind of thing. And so please do stay in touch. I would love to be in touch with you. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and just mention that you were at the holiday book party, and I will definitely accept your connection request. I have a YouTube channel with lots of free videos on machine learning and deep learning, particularly the mathematical foundations of machine learning is something I've been releasing a lot of videos on. So new video every single Wednesday. I do tweet if you prefer that over LinkedIn. And I'm host of the Super Data Science podcast. We have new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Kate Strachnyi was herself a guest on the show at the beginning of the year. She was one of my first guests ever on the program, and it's such a fun episode. You can check that one out. And yeah, if you want to be sure to not miss any of my content when it comes out, almost everything that I release is free. So if you sign up for my email newsletter on johnkrohn.com, you'll get a notification about once a month of all the new content that I've created since the last newsletter.
Awesome.
And we all love your content, John.
Yes, thank you so much, John. I always feel like I get just a little bit smarter when I listen to you speak. So this is great. Thank you so much for the presentation. I know we have some giveaways and we do have some questions. We didn't talk about lifting weights yet, but
yeah,
we'll take a question here from Mike. And he says, great presentation. What are your thoughts on the new Google Pathways ANNs?
I'm afraid I've never heard of it. So they must be pretty new, or I'm just out to date here. So I don't know.
Well, I was going to ask you to define an ANN, so I guess we're
so
not gonna...
that I can do. So an ANN is just an artificial neural network.
Okay.
And so everything that I showed you in my slides, so we started off with a single artificial neuron.
Yep.
And then I showed you how we can layer them together into an artificial neural network. So it's just this idea of a bunch of artificial neurons connected together. And if you layer more than 4 layers of artificial neurons together, we can call that a deep artificial neural network or a deep learning architecture.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. Yeah, we have some comments come in. Christine says the performance of neural networks is fascinating, and she loves that the book is illustrated. And I agree, the illustrations are really, really pretty. And I know you showed the self-illustration for your illustrator as well as your co-author. I didn't see one for you, so I'm assuming it's there somewhere. Did she illustrate you too? Or?
There is one, yeah. I guess I felt like maybe because I had the Super Data Science thumbnail there that I didn't want to have too many illustrations of myself.
Okay, all right. Well, that's fair. And we see you here live, so that
is
works.
Me. You don't need an illustration of me. I look almost exactly like this in real life.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're gonna get on with the drawings here. So deep learning, hashtag deep learning to win the book. I'm gonna go ahead and draw our first winner, and if you are nominated as a winner here, make sure you reach out to John Krohn directly. And if you're not following him yet, go ahead and follow him. All right, Vedita, nice. Congratulations. Got our lucky winner number 1, and we're going to select a second winner. I'll let the confetti settle. There we go. All right, we're going to draw one more time. Deep Learning Illustrated. Let's see who our second winner is.
Let's see.
Erica. Congratulations. Very few repeat winners, which is interesting. This algorithm must be working well. Very random. I love it. Congratulations, Erica. And all right. Just a few more comments here. Kailina says she loves your podcast. So
yes.
Yes. And it was very fun being a guest on your podcast. So thank you so much for that.
Great to have you listening, Kailina.
All right. So with that, John, thank you so much for your time here today. We will see you online. We're going to keep this holiday data party moving.
My pleasure. Happy holidays and a happy new year to everyone out there too.
All right. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and let Ravit tell us what's happening next on our agenda.
Okay. We can, though we have just one speaker left, we also have a small surprise after that. So stay tuned. And moving forward, our next guest is Brent Dykes. His session title is How Can You Humanize Your Data? So, which is very interesting. I've already spoken to Brent on my show, The Ravit Show. I know, Kate, you have hosted him on DATAcated show. So, can't hear him again because he is actually very effective when he talks about data storytelling. And I'm sure we'll be giving that book. But Kate, are we doing the giveaway as well?
Yes, we're doing
Awesome.
a giveaway. We're giving away 2 books, and the format, we're back to best questions asked. So no hashtags
Awesome.
for this one. Make sure you get your questions in there. And I can't help but smile because I actually see Brent backstage, and I literally can't wait to put him on. You'll see what I mean, Ravit. There's Brent
Okay.
over there.
Oh my, Brent, you look awesome.
I had to bring.
I love the spirit.
I had to bring it because I couldn't find my Christmas sweater. So, what else could I do? So I have to bring the wreath. I'm not going to present with this on, though, but I wanted to.
Oh, you're not going to keep it on the whole time?
No, it's kind of itchy. It's kind of itchy, so I'm not going to.
I love it.
That on the whole time.
Christina says that you're challenging me for best costume.
Yes,
I don't know. We're gonna have to
exactly.
vote, Brent or me. I think. Oh, Ravit's getting a new one on there. So Brent, I don't want to take up much more of your time. I know you've got a great presentation for us here, so I'll get your slides up. We'll hop off stage and we'll take some questions after.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, guys. All right, so today I'm going to talk about how you can humanize your data, and it's all within the context of data storytelling. And we need data stories more than ever. And if you're not familiar with my book, there's 3 key elements that are a fundamental part of my book. I talk about data, narrative, and visuals. And those are probably no surprise. Those are things that we think about when we think of data storytelling. But the power of data storytelling really comes into play when we look at the intersections between these bubbles. So if we take the raw data and we want to share that with somebody else, there's a good chance that they may not interpret the data the same way we do. They may not understand it like we do. And so what do? We put a narrative with it. We explain the context. We give the meaning behind the numbers and help people to understand the data like we do. And so that's the first intersection of those bubbles. Then what else do we do? Well, we have visuals, and we want to help people to see the anomalies in the data. We want them to see the patterns and the trends in the numbers. And that hopefully enlightens them to new observations, new insights that they wouldn't see if they're just looking at tabular data alone. And then lastly, the reason why you're up late last night watching the latest Netflix show or Hulu show, it's because as human beings, we love visual storytelling. And that combination of narrative and visuals is really engaging for us as human beings. And when we combine the right data with the right narrative and the right visuals, all of a sudden we have something that's very powerful that can change the way people view the world, how they behave, how they act, what decisions they make. All of these things, it's really powerful. But when it comes back to the numbers, some people kind of struggle. Well, how do I humanize my data? How do I make my data connect with people? And I'm going to tell you something very frankly. People don't care about your numbers. They don't care about data at all. What they care about, if we look at senior leaders, who do they care about? They care about customers. Who do salespeople care about? They care about prospects. Who do supervisors care about? Hopefully their employees. Who do politicians care about? Voters, maybe the media too. But we have data, and data reflects our customers. It reflects our prospects. It reflects our employees. It reflects our voters. And so people are going to care about our story when we share information or data that relates to things that they care about. So let me give you an example here of the power of stories versus statistics. And this actually comes from the book by Chip and Dan Heath. In it, they have an example of a Carnegie Mellon University study where they basically looked at, they had a survey and a technology survey that they gave to students. And basically the students take that and they got 5 $1 bills. And then that's where the experiment began, because what they did is they said, hey, we have a brochure here for a real charity, Save the Children. And they had 2 versions of this brochure. One had a lot of data about the suffering of kids in Africa due to famine, war, illness, and a lot of statistics, millions, hundreds of thousands of kids being impacted. Then they had another version. And this version just focused on Rokia, a 7-year-old girl from Mali, and talked about her family and how they struggled to survive. And if when they looked at the average donations from these two versions, the story version really drove a much higher donation than the statistical version. And so what I'm going to talk about today briefly is how data stories can have heroes too. We want to humanize the data, and I'm going to talk about several ways that you can do that. The first thing you need to do is, if you're going to add a character or a hero to your data story, you need to determine where does your data intersect with people. And so where is that human element of your data? So in this case, using a retail example here, we may have prospective buyers. And so that's who we're looking at. The data that we're looking at relates to prospective buyers. Or maybe we're looking at existing customers and how they're using a mobile app or something. Or maybe we're looking at the employees on the floor and how we can help them perform better. So the first thing is to identify what is that angle, what is that human element within our data, and then we want to bring that to life. And how do we bring that to life? Well, we're going to build a data-driven profile of our hero or character. So I come from a marketing background, and we use personas all the time. Why do we use personas? Well, it helps us to target our campaign to a specific individual that is representative of a segment of customers or different people that we can relate to. And that helps us from a creative perspective. Well, why can't we do that from a data perspective as well? Why can't we create a data-driven persona of our character? So there may be demographic data that we'd want to include to help this character come alive. Maybe we can show different activities or behaviors that they do. Maybe we can show some of the challenges that they're facing. Maybe we know about their goals and maybe their attitudes and motivations. How can we enrich our profile create a data-driven persona and enrich it with lots of data? The other thing is we want to give our hero an identity. And again, this comes from the persona building. Sometimes we put an image or a face to that persona. And Instagram, there was actually a study done on Instagram that found when you have a face in a picture or an image, there's going to be 38% more likes or 32% more comments. And so by taking that persona that we've created, putting a face to it that represents who that individual is, all of a sudden we're not talking about just generic data, faceless data. No, we're putting a face on it and helping people to humanize what's behind the numbers. The next thing we can do is we can give our hero a voice. And often when we're analyzing data, we might be looking at the data and visualizing it this way, but then we can bring in qualitative data. We have our quantitative data. How can we leverage qualitative data to really bring out key statements from representative customers? I've done this all the time with different executive presentations, and it's interesting. I'll have a really nice chart, and then I'll put some quotes or testimonials, or it could be from social media or from product reviews or from a survey, and I'll include a quote. And it's interesting how people actually kind of gravitate to those quotes, and really they seem to connect with them. So this can be very powerful as well, adding a voice to your numbers. And then the last thing we can do is we can show the hero's journey. And so how can we get the audience to walk in the shoes of our hero or character? And there's a couple ways that we can do that. One is, maybe everybody in the company knows that we have a bunch of steps that people go through when they call our call center. But do people know what every step and what questions we ask and how we phrase information and what we're looking for? Maybe your audience doesn't know that. Maybe there's an onboarding hiring process. Everybody knows we hire people, but do they know the steps that people take to go through that coming on board and being hired? Or what's the application process that people go through and all the gates and things that we request of people? So putting people through that process, illustrating what that process looks like, can be very illuminating. The other thing too is what I call user experience tours. And so this comes from my marketing background. A lot of the times I'd be analyzing websites or mobile apps, and to include a screenshot of the process or the experience that people are experiencing, that can be really powerful. And then this can apply to product functionality. It can even go into in-store experiences. So if you take pictures and show that experience, it comes to life for our audience. And we feel what the customers feel, or we feel what our employees feel when they go through these different experiences. So I'll leave you with one last quote here. This is from Mother Teresa. If I look at the mass, I will never act. If I look at the one, I will. And so I would encourage you to humanize your data, because it inspires action. It's what's going to connect with us emotionally, and that's what really drives a lot of the actions that we take. And so if you'd like to learn more about this topic, definitely check out my book, Data Storytelling, Effective Data Storytelling. And if you're looking for any kind of workshops or speaking engagements, I'm totally open to that and love to partner with you in the new year.
Thank you very much, Brent. This was super interesting. And thanks once again for being the effective data storyteller, as always. So, yeah.
Should I put my wreath back on? You want me to put my wreath back on?
Yeah, of course. Put it back on. Sure, why not? We're going to take some questions. And oh, yours doesn't light up, does it? I don't know. I think I make up for it with all the flashing lights here. We do have a few questions that came in that I want to address. Just a quick reminder that you will be selecting winners of the book, Best Questions Asked. So I'll just take a couple here. First one from Wisan. How can confusing characters and visuals be avoided in data storytelling?
Well, I guess one of the things, if we have a character or somebody that's really tied into the message that we're conveying and the data and reflects that. I mean, obviously we're not using these images as decoration. That's the key thing. We're not just, oh, I got this funny image, or I got this this picture of somebody doing something and it's distant or unconnected from what we're the story that we're building. So everything's got to be building on each other. It's not about decoration. That's the key thing. We're not doing this just to look pretty. It's with a purpose. We're trying to help people connect with the people behind the numbers. That
makes sense. Thank you so much. We do have a comment about your background. I think you always get a comment on your background. It's so cool. So that's, there you go.
Oh, keep moving the wrong way.
And a question from Paul here. Does the storyboard change depending on the audience?
Absolutely, yeah. If that's going to influence the story that we tell. And a simple example would be, imagine you've found an insight and you're communicating that to a technical audience, the people who are going to be implementing that change or doing the approach that you take with that story would be very different than if you're presenting that to the CMO.
Right.
And she may have the purse strings, she may be approving it, but if you're working with the technical team who's going to deploy that insight and implement it, that's going to be same insight, but told very differently. And so definitely the audience influences what direction we take with our story.
Makes sense. Thank you so much. And we do have more questions that are coming in. Maybe we can take those offline if you have a few minutes to go on LinkedIn. Yeah. All right. So Brent, we're going to put you backstage for just a minute, but stay tuned because we are actually going to bring as many of our speakers back for an after party, which I think will be fun. We do have a question prepared that we want to hear from all of them. So before we do that, as they get their cameras ready, set up with, if any one of them has an outfit they want to get on, just a reminder, we have 1 minute. And as we do that, one last giveaway that I would like to announce because Steve Wexler actually reached out to us. Yep, here's the book. Let's do a big screen. Here we go. It's The Big Picture. Steve Wexler was kind enough. He came in sort of last minute and he said, hey, even if I'm not speaking, I would love to just give away a book. So if you'd like a copy of The Big Picture, he was kind enough to do that. So go ahead and put #BigPicture into the comments for a chance to win. While you do that, I want to quickly ask Ravit.
Yes.
How's the session going, you think? You having fun?
Session is amazing. I love all the talks. I can't wait for the third holiday book party, and everyone joining us today, let us know what the theme should be. Obviously, holiday book party is more about books, but we would love to add more things, maybe courses, maybe something else.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let us know what your feedback is, because we will try to incorporate as much feedback as possible for the next one. And also, if you have authors in mind that you want to hear from at the next holiday book party, also let us know. I see lots of folks backstage are ready to rejoin us. So I'm going to quickly do the giveaway, and then we're going to, let's do this. I'm going to add this to the stream. and then we're going to
All
bring
the
our
best.
speakers back on for a quick roundup. All right.
It's a fantastic book.
And yes, if you're selected as a winner, please follow up with Steve Wexler directly. All right, Paul, congratulations. If you can't find Steve online, you can contact myself or Ravit will help you.
Yeah.
We'll help you identify the right Steve Wexler. And Steve, thank you again for the giveaway. All right. Are we ready to bring everybody else back on?
Let's do this.
Okie dokie. Here is Susan. Susan, you're on mute.
No,
There
no.
you go. Marlene's back.
Hey, Marleen.
Hello.
We've got
Brent.
Brent with his news. Oh, Scott Taylor. I see him peeking back there. And the one who kicked this off for us, Christina Stathopoulos. Hello, hello. Welcome back, guys. How are you feeling?
Great. Thanks for having us back here.
Yeah, good.
Good.
What a
good.
show. What a show, you two. I don't know how
I know, it was wicked.
Really?
All that
Keep it going.
entertainment for free.
I had so much fun, and thank you all for the great presentations. The topics varied so much, which I think is great. We had something for everyone, and I really appreciate the giveaways as well. It's really a good time to give back to the community. So thank you so much for participating. I know, Ravit, you had a good question. What is this, Susan? What are you pointing at?
I'm at the snowflake.
Oh, the snowflake you're touching. Okay, so Susan, playing with snowflakes. I know it's probably late for you, Susan. Is that what's happening?
It's a snowflake.
Yeah.
It's not snowflake. So this is not an inadvertent sponsorship by any big.
Oh, that's
platform.
true. That's a good one.
Clear that up
Sponsored by
right away.
Snowflakes.
I feel like I'm holding everyone up.
Oh, yeah, you are.
But we're gonna go sideways in a minute. Whoa.
So I think, Ravit, you had a good question that you wanted to sort of ask all the speakers to go through a round robin. So what was your question?
So it's more around the trends in 2022 in data. So I would love to hear what would they be from everyone here.
All right, so I'm gonna pick who starts first. I'm gonna pick based on who I think is the most ready. And the winner is Scott Taylor.
Scott
All right,
Taylor.
Scott, let us
Everyone
know
knew
what
it.
you think. What are your ideas? What do you expect to see in 2022?
I expect to see more of the same stuff. So we're going to hear all about, analytics, graph hub, fabric mesh. We're going to hear about contactless. We're going to hear about digital transformation. We're going to hear about all these other big, new, hot, shiny, cool, sparkly things. And what I'm going to say yet again, because I'm always that guy in the room, data management is macro trend agnostic. No matter what all these fancy things you're going to come up with next year, they're all still going to need technology, hardware, software, data. If you have data, you need data management. So no matter what's happening, you're still going to need to build that data foundation. That's my 2 cents.
Awesome. Thank you. Susan, you looked like you were high-fiving him, but I'm going to take that as a hand raise, and I'm going to have you go next.
Okay. Well, pretty similar actually to Scott. Data quality is going to drive everything. More tech, more toys, more problems if they don't get the data right at the start. And make sure that data has its coat on, consistent, organized, accurate, and then it's trustworthy.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
I think I have
and Marlene's smiling, so I'll take that as a hint. Go ahead, Marleen.
Yeah, I also think similarly a lot about data governance, maybe a lot also coming from top to bottom, maybe more regulations. Yeah, that's what I'm foreseeing.
Great. Thank you so much. And Christina, you're holding everyone up here. So let's hear from you.
You're right. I mean, I'll +1 to everything that's already been said. Like what we're talking about already is going to keep growing and evolving. I think one thing to keep an eye out for is this data observability. So being able to observe the data from the top, from upstream, really getting to what Susan was talking about quality. So ensuring that we have this good quality data and we're recognizing bugs or mistakes very early on in the process and not having it arrive all the way downstream. So more like data observability and monitoring tools, I expect.
Yeah, definitely. I keep hearing about data observability. Brent, you look very focused. Let's see. Is he frozen?
He's
Oh,
frozen?
this screen
He's
frozen.
frozen. That's why he's meditating here.
Ravit, we're gonna hear from you.
For me, data, I agree with all the points here. But as Christina rightly pointed, a lot's going on there in the data observability. And also, I think data literacy is something which people are still wanting to learn more about. So definitely these two are top on my list. And I want to basically myself learn more about these spaces. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, looks like we might have lost Brent. Hopefully we can getting back in here.
I have an exciting device from the
Wow.
future. The linear phone is going to come back. I don't know if you're familiar with this, the GTE linear phone, where they put all the numbers in, kind of like a typewriter from 1985. I think it's about time for this to come back, the linear phone.
Yes, yes. We'll bring that back.
Yeah.
So
I want to hear from you, Kate.
So Brent, we're gonna
There he
hear
is.
from
Oh, Brent is back.
Brent
He's
is
holding
back.
us up now.
Yeah, in terms of trends, I mean, I focus on the last mile of the whole analytics journey, and so definitely, I think we're going to see more and more of augmented analytics, and obviously, there's a lot of vendors out there that are trying to insert storytelling into the analytics process. I still think human beings are going to play a big part in being data storytellers, and I hope that some of these new technologies out there are going to make our ability to tell data stories more effectively easier by using technology, either to help us find insights more quickly, or could be how we distribute data stories. It could be anything, but I definitely see technology and skills coming together in a strong way in 2022.
You know, Brent, I should have gone right before you, because this is exactly what I was gonna say. I'm also all about the last mile of analytics, and I think my theory for 2022, and we've seen some of this happen already this year, is we're going to see a bridging of the gap between the business and data and the tech folks. And I also agree that vendors are really working really actively and innovating in different ways where we can bring the data closer to the business. And to add on to what was said about data literacy, I think we're also going to start not only pushing data literacy onto the business, but also teaching business language and lingo to the tech folks. So they're basically are going to start converging closer to each other.
Here.
Here.
Business literacy. Let's get some business literacy out there with all these data folks.
Yes, exactly. All right, Ravit, anything else you want to discuss? We've got the group here together.
Thinking, okay, can we just share one experiences from everyone? I know Christina didn't write a book yet, but would love to hear her thoughts as well. So
yeah, Christina. What? Sorry, can I jump in?
Yeah.
If you were to write a book, Christina, what type of book would you write?
I have no idea. I've had some approach me like saying, "Oh, you need to write a book," but I'm a reader, not a writer. So I don't know. It's a good question.
A great time would be, how to read a book.
Yeah,
read a book a week. I mean, I guess I could write that book.
Title.
Yeah, there we go. Done.
Reading for Dummies.
That works.
I don't understand this book.
It's really good, actually, Scott.
Well, I'd love to hear the experiences of everyone else. All of you are book authors, so tell us about the experience.
It broke me.
Of writing a book? Yeah, I hated it.
You're not encouraging me. Not encouraging me.
My wrists
were
messed up.
Yeah. It's like every day you're either writing the book or you're not writing the book.
What about you, Brent?
Well, when you're not writing the book, you feel guilty that you're not writing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And when you're writing, it's like, all right, I should be writing it and not write. So for me, at least.
What I would compare it to for people who haven't written a book, I mean, this is my experience. It's like going back into college where you're taking classes, and when you're not working on your homework, you feel guilty and you feel like you're getting behind, and you're like, oh, it's always in the back of your mind. I need to be writing the next chapter. I need to be working on it. And so, yeah, you can go spend time with your family or you can do other things, but you feel guilty that you're not working on your book because it's there in the back of your mind. and it just, I don't know. That was my experience.
Exactly.
No, I kind of came to be okay because there were days where I could literally not write more than 100 words. And then there were days when I could write 3,000 or 4,000 words. And so I knew that just to take advantage of the days when I was on it, but my wrists really, really suffered for it.
But once you're done, it's amazing.
Yes,
Once you're
I'm
done,
sure.
it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Sure.
That feeling of accomplishment, right?
It is.
Yeah.
How long did it take each of you?
It was my COVID project last year. So it was
So
like
1 year.
March or April, I got the deal, and then it was published and in my hands by November. So I just cranked it out.
I did most of mine in March. I had about 10,000 words by the end of February, and then did 40,000 words in March, and that was it, done.
That's fast.
Very cool.
I did this book. This is my first book that I ever did. Web Analytics Action Hero.
Oh, I like it.
Action Hero. And that one took me 9 months, and then this one took me 3 years.
3 years, wow.
So the difference in approach was I had the contract, and they said we need it by such and such a date, and so I had the publisher on top of me, and that was a hard experience for me. My wife was basically a single mother at that point. When I wasn't writing, I was the only thing else I was doing was sleeping. And so what I did instead with this book is I wrote the book first, then I shopped it around for a publisher. But the negative side of that is that I didn't have the pressure to get it done, other than my own motivation. And so it took a lot longer because I had other things going on. I could always put it down and kind of do something else. So I've done both approaches. It's a tough way either way. I don't know if I have a preference.
Okay, makes sense. So I know we went way over our allotted time, almost by an hour actually, but I feel like everyone's having so much fun that people just stuck around. I think as we wrap up, we're going to go and ask you where people should go and follow you or get your book. Tell people your final words, so to say, and then we're actually going to remove you from this stream until there's one person left, and it's actually not going to be either me or Ravit. We'll see who it is. So let's start with Brent. Since you froze earlier, we'll let you go first. Where can people follow you?
LinkedIn. Definitely connect with me on LinkedIn if you're passionate about data storytelling. I'm also Analytics Hero on Twitter. Those are the two main places. You can also reach out to me at brent@analyticshero.com. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. And we lost one. All right. Christina, you're up next. So where can people follow you?
I feel like this is like musical chairs. So you can find me on LinkedIn, and also I encourage you to join the hashtag Book a Week Challenge or hashtag Book a Month Challenge, also on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christina.
Thanks, Christina.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Marleen, you are up next.
Yeah, you can also follow me on LinkedIn. And then my newly launched homepage, firstname.lastname.com. There are all the links to GitHub, Tableau Public, and so on and so on.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Marleen.
Just before we say bye to Marleen, we had 2 winners for her book. So what we'll be doing is Marleen will be hosting one giveaway through her social. So you still have a chance to win a book.
Okay, so she'll pick someone from the hashtag Tableau in the comments.
Yes.
My mistake. I didn't notice. I was too excited. We picked 2 winners that were the same person. So Marleen will be doing that. Thank you, Marleen.
Awesome.
See.
Okay.
You cut her off.
Down to the final 4. We're going to first say bye to Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Moe. Okay, Scott. Scott, you're it. Go. She voted.
More like Squid Game here. Hunger Games. It's really... What am I supposed to say? Oh, where to find me? Scott Taylor, Data Whisperer. Find me on LinkedIn. Search for me on my YouTube channel. Go to my website, metaconsulting.com. Now, in case you're wondering, we are not changing our name to Facebook. We're staying Meta. But find me anywhere out there. And then wherever Kate has an event, I'm either on stage or in the front row cheering her on. My website, LinkedIn, YouTube.
Thank you, Scott.
Go for it. Thank you for having me. Wait, don't come.
Oh no, you go. So, Susan, I think you know who's next.
Yeah.
It's Susan Walsh. So, Susan, let's hear from you.
What was the? Oh, yeah, where you can find me. Susan Walsh, the classification guru. The book. Yeah, so the book is available on Amazon, but a bit ropey in the US. So if you're in the US, I would go with bookshop.org or the American Library Association. And they will probably get it to you faster, to be honest. So that's what I would say. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks,
we will see
Suzanne.
you online. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Ravit, it's down to the two of us. So final words from you.
It was a fantastic event. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And we can't here to obviously host the third holiday book party. And I'm sure with the pace Kate runs everything, we'll surely announce it by June. I can be sure of that. But looking forward to obviously having more authors, more fun, more holiday party. And happy holidays to everyone joining. And feel free to reach out if you guys have anything in terms of wanting to learn more about holiday book party, or even want to sponsor the holiday book party. We are open.
Yeah,
So,
Ravit's always open. Look at that. I love it.
Yes.
Thank you, Ravit. It was a pleasure co-hosting. I know I usually do things on my own, but sometimes it is fun to co-host and sort of offload some of that work. So it was a pleasure working with you on this. You guys can follow me on mainly, I guess, LinkedIn. If you follow the DATAcated page where we're live streaming this, as well as my YouTube, Ravit's YouTube, where we're streaming this event from as well. And my newly founded DATAcated Circle. Definitely encourage you guys to join that community. Just go to circle.datacated.com. You'll find a way to join us there. And now we're actually going to have our final words. So I'm going to remove Ravit. I'll remove myself. Thank you guys for joining. And here we go.
I'm back to say thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate the expert talks provided by the speakers and the kind engagement from our audience. I encourage you to check out the Ravit Show on YouTube and join the DATAcated Circle community.